Oh, it's going to be a good one. The Pacifica Mariners taking on the Aliso Niguel Wolverines. Pacifica comes into this game 10-3. The Wolverines undefeated on the year. So you know emotions are high, and the morale of both teams has to be high. For further on that, we check in with Bobby.
Thanks, Paul. As anyone can imagine, it must be a great emotional high to come into the CIF playoffs. It's what every team works all year for. And when I first spoke with Coach Craven from Pacifica, he told me he never realized that it would take this long before his team finally came back to the CIF championship game. The last time they were here was in 1978. This is their second time coming to this game, and he said his kids are high as a kite. They had a pep rally today. The whole school is really excited. Kids who he has never even spoken to all year long have been coming up to him all week and saying how excited they are for this game tonight. On the other side, Coach Wood from Aliso told me his kids are really focused. They know exactly what it is that they have to do in order to win this title. This week, though, it has been a very challenging week for the Wolverines because all their routines have been disrupted. One, due to the weather. Also, even on the way here tonight, their bus broke down. So it's definitely been a challenge for the Wolverines. We'll see how it goes, though. Let's go back up to the booth.
Well, it's got to be the most exciting time of the year for these individuals out there on the football field. So many other kids are at home watching or here at the game watching. So for these two teams to be here in the final, they really deserve it. Tonight, Pacifica takes on Aliso Niguel for the Division VIII CIF title. It's a festive night as both teams march onto the field. Pacifica taking on the Aliso Niguel Wolverines. Great crowd on hand. An early start tonight for these two teams. A 7 o'clock start, so a late arriving crowd. I'm Paul Higgins along with Bill Cunardy and Bobby Higgins joining us on the sidelines. Mike Conley, our director tonight. And you're watching this game on Cox Communications with Athletes in Motion. And also we welcome the people at Time Warner Cable in Garden Grove watching this game. And we've been doing this all year for South Orange County, and we welcome you, or I can say most of Orange County, we do this each and every week. So we've got a good one, and Aliso Niguel, they're going to get the ball first, and Pacifica getting ready to make their entrance. And that will be the softest thing they hit all night tonight as Pacifica comes onto the field with their dark blue jerseys on. And the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, Bill, in their turquoise bottoms and white tops.
Aliso Niguel, Paul, right now out on the field, ready to go. And Bill Craven out there with his kickoff team. I've known Bill for all 20 years I've been down here in the county. And Paul, he's a real gentleman, a great guy. He's been a tremendous coach for a long time. And it's nice to see somebody like Bill get his team into the CIF finals.
That's right.
I believe the last time was back in '78. And of course, on the other side of the field, Joe Wood and this Aliso Niguel bunch, I'll tell you, what an incredible job in 4 years.
The road to the playoffs, Bill, with these two teams have been a little bit different.
Yes,
Aliso Niguel
really
has scored a lot of points. The Mariners haven't scored a whole lot, but they've scored just enough, and they will be kicking off the ball tonight. John Hefty back deep for Aliso Niguel, number 12. He is the deep man. Kicking off for Pacifica, Nathan Colano, and Nathan kicked a game-winning field goal in the playoffs.
That he did. You know, Paul, kicking is going to play a big part of this game tonight, and we were out there on that field. You know how muddy it is.
It's very muddy.
That for the kickers, that plant foot is really important.
And we are underway from Labard Stadium. Division VIII CIF Finals picked up on the 30-yard line, slipped and fell on the 38-yard line.
Great field position.
Take a look at the starting lineups for the Aliso Niguel Wolverines on offense. Brad Moore was the one that just brought up the ball. Wes Thomas, Trent Purley, and Scott Nemeth. Now these guys up front have done a great job, led by Ryan Herbon. And then on the outside, Andrew Mashburn is their go-to man, the wide receiver, number 85. 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Just underway, Division VIII CIF Finals. Near side, Andrew Mashburn. Scott Nemeth in the backfield, and Wes Thomas the quarterback.
Interesting, they come out unbalanced right away.
Mashburn gets it on the near side. He gets pushed back, and he'll maybe make it to the 45 before he's tackled quickly. Hit initially by number 8 down there, Jason Simpson. We'll take a look at the Mariners on defense, their starting lineup, they have a great, great defense. These boys up front have been doing a wonderful job. And the linebackers, they have been there when they needed them. And then the secondary, 3 excellent secondary personnel for these Mariners. Bill Craven, their head coach, Joe Wood, the head coach. Now Mashburn sets up far left, top of your screen. A pitch to Nemeth. And Bill, this is where it's going to be trouble. You pitch on a slow field in a muddy field.
You know, I don't think so, Paul. It's a very good point you bring up. I think what you try to do on this field is run north and south, use your power, and throw the ball early. Throw the ball when the footing is semi-good. It's going to get messy after a while, and I like what they did. They came out and threw that hitch pass to Mashburn, but you're going to hear this name all night long. Number 59, Roland Hodgenall, who's a defensive end in this 4-4, and this guy can play.
3rd down and 9, just underway. Purley in motion. Thomas from the shotgun. Thomas is going to run it, and he gets away from one tackler. He's pretty close to a first down, but he will not get it. What a great tackle made. Number 8 coming up again, and that is Jason Simpson, a sophomore, let it be known, so they'll have to kick this one away.
That's a great first series on defense for Pacifica, and that was going to be a shuffle pass, and it's a good play under these circumstances, but I think West did a very smart thing, Paul, is there was a defender in front of him, so he just tucked it away, and he almost got the first down.
Casey Huffmeyer back deep for the Mariners. It's really tough to punt on a field like this. Huffmeyer slips and falls on the 20, so he did a great job of taking the ball in. We'll take a look at the Mariners on offense. Their starting lineup, 10-3 on the year now. They've lost 3 times, but only by a total of 9 points. Their quarterback is excellent, J.D. Stern. And the linemen up front, they'll have to do the job tonight against a very good defensive line for Aliso Niguel. And they do pass. Huffmeyer, you just saw, he caught the ball on the punt return. He'll be in tonight at wide receiver.
The guy you got to watch is Paul Tessier. He's a great wide receiver, and they've got some guys playing both ways. Roland Hodgenall, we talked about at defensive end, is also an offensive tackle. And, you know, it is a shame in one respect. You get to this final game, and you have to play on a surface like this. But, you know, in Ohio, this would be a great day.
J.D. Stern, 18 touchdowns on the year. He's the quarterback. He'll pass on his very first play from the line of scrimmage, and it's completed for a first down. We'll take a look at the starting lineup on defense for the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, who just got popped for a first down. Now, up and tight, David Steele has done a wonderful job all year long. Number 66 in the middle of the pack, Butrago and Giarsimo and Hayden, the linebackers. Defensive backs, you have to look at John Hefty as one of the best players out there, and that's in the words of also Steve Bresnahan, who did a nice column this week in the Register newspaper. Analysis of this game underway here in the first quarter, no score. JD hands it off to number 35 going up the right side. That's Jeff Burt, the running back. Billy, 6'1", 225 pounds, a senior.
I tell you what, he's got great size. When you look at him out there, he looks bigger than some of the guys blocking for him. But a great tackle by Nick Giarsimo on that last play. Paul, they run without a tight end a lot. They run 2 backs and 3 wide receivers and kind of spread the defense out a little bit. But I think the key to this game for Pacifica is going to be how J.D. Stern plays tonight, the quarterback. Now they're in 4 wides and a single back, and I think this is what you're going to see most of the night from Pacifica. Spread the field, little
Stern.
quick screen, and boy, Aliso plays that textbook. And Paul, you know what's dangerous about that? That ball was thrown backwards, so you know, if you're Aliso, you've got to cover that thing.
That's Huffmeyer. Bill, this will bring up a 3rd down and long for first, looking at 7.
You made a great observation a minute ago, Paul. On a field like this, I don't think you want to go sideways. Even if you try and create a mismatch on a swing pass like that. I think the footing is poor. Get vertical. Try and go north and south.
Maybe middle screens would be a good idea. J.D. Stern looking at a 3rd and 8. They back it up a yard on that last play. Stern drops back. He's in a bad part of the field. He gets hit as he throws, and this ball's picked off. John Hefty picks it off on the 45-yard line. Stern got rocked right when he threw it. The ball didn't have enough on it.
You know who was there to knock him down was Jeremy Miller. What a year Jeremy's had. Watch this. Here's Stern. He gets ready, and bam. I'll tell you, you can't see that coming because it was kind of off his blind side, but Jeremy Miller's the guy that created that, and John Hefty was there for his 8th interception of the year, Paul. That is a terrific defense by Aliso Niguel, and they have the ball in Mariner territory.
Steve Bresnahan knows what he's talking about. I formation for Wes Thomas and the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, looking for their first CIF championship. They hand it off to Trent Purley. He gets over the 45 down to the 43-yard line. Great to see this young man playing football again, number 10 out
It
there
sure
for
is,
Aliso
absolutely.
Niguel.
Great guy, and he suffered through some tough times, but here he is in the CIF finals, and he's healthy. And I think what they just did right there would probably be the way to attack this 4-4, and that is run right at it. Don't try to get too fancy. If you throw, see right now Andrew Mashburn's in single coverage out there. They've got 9 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Play action.
Looking for Hefty long, but he's going to get rocked. Wes Thomas gets brought down on the 45.
You know, you had the guy that was open. You could see John Hefty on what we call a smash route. The outside receiver runs a little sideline, and John Hefty, the inside receiver, ran a corner.
My fault, I didn't see him throw the ball.
He was wide open, Paul. But number 59, Hodgenall, and boy, we're going to say his name all night. And number 45, Wes Choate.
Glad we figured out how to say it, huh, Bill?
We had to ask.
Hodgenall. Now Mashburn on the near side. Single coverage once again. Nemeth in motion. Wes Thomas throwing it backwards, but this is a little bit up the field, so they won't have a problem with a
Look at this
fumble.
ball. They say that ball was backwards. No official blew it dead, and they're going to have a touchdown for Pacifica.
Touchdown. They call it touchdown, and you know they're going to be mighty upset on the other side of the field. Number 45 on a heads-up play. Wes Choate takes it all the way for the score. I thought it was dead. We didn't hear a whistle, but you picked it out, Coach.
You know, Paul, we just talked about going sideways in the mud. Pacifica threw a swing pass that Aliso Niguel covered. In this case, the swing pass actually was a screen back to Nemeth. And, you know, I'd really like to see it again on replay to see if it actually was backwards, but a very, very heads-up play by number 45 for Pacifica, and that's Wes Choate. And he's had a great year statistically.
Kick is up. It's good. 7-0. We'll be back. Welcome back to the game of the week. Scott Nemeth gets a hole, and Scott Nemeth could be off to the races. He has done this so many times before. Nemeth touchdown. No flags on the play.
Paul, we've seen some incredible football here in the first 5 minutes of this game. Aliso Niguel making the decision now to go north and south and just run right at Pacifica. And that was the Scott Nemeth show, because his first carry was 28 yards, and then that was a 55-yard touchdown run. And I think this is going to be a great game.
Pretty good game on a muddy field. Scott Nemeth taking off down the field. Going all the way in for the score. After this play, we'll go down to Bobby and check in with her on the sidelines in a very, very wet.
I think that's my daughter they're trying to kick the ball at back there. The cheerleader standing on top of the pile. I don't know.
Well, it's blocked. So Pacifica blocks it. It's 7-6. And Bobby, it has to be tremendously exciting down on the field.
Yes, it is. The crowd is very pumped up. Matter of fact, even our camera operators are complaining that it's difficult to hear because all the people here are just really excited. One thing I wanted to talk about is I had spoken with Coach Craven before this game tonight from Pacifica, and I asked him if he felt that this game would come down to just mistakes that each of these two teams may make, such as turnovers. And he responded saying, well, I hope at least it just doesn't come down to one single decision, such as a decision that he makes, or maybe even down to one play, such as a kicker who is left with a field goal attempt as to whether or not they win the game. But if that is something that it does come down to, Pacifica may have the advantage, because 2 weeks ago in the playoffs against Mayfair, they had 23 seconds left where their kicker, Nathan Colano, hit a 25-yard field goal and won it for them 15-13. Let's go back up to the booth.
Bobby, outstanding point and great insight by the coach. Kickoff to Pacifica taken on the 14-yard line. Brought up really quickly is number 32. He's brought out to the 34-yard line. bringing up the ball that time is Scott Yost. And isn't that an exceptional point that Bill Craven made? Hey, I hope it doesn't go down to one single play.
You know, coaches, I think perhaps all of us have been in this situation one time or another where you have a call that you have to make that's going to dramatically affect the outcome of a game. And what you hope is that you have athletes that can make that work.
I want to thank Claudia Cunity for going out and getting us dinner tonight. Thank you very much, Claudia. Healthy dinner you got us. I appreciate that.
Oh, great play by Gerasimo on the trap. And down underneath that is number 58, Jeremy Miller. This Aliso Niguel defense, Paul, has just played so well all year long. Got to give a lot of credit to Jimmy O'Connell. And we'll talk about both of these coaching staffs as we go along. Joe Wood's staff, Jim O'Connell, Kurt Wessling, Mike Middlebrook, Chichi Bean, Kenny Goldstone, and Taz Murtaugh. And we have to mention Coach Steve Burt. Boy, what a job he does, right? This guy has more information than the phone director.
Him and Adrian Peters at Santa Margarita. This will bring up a 3rd down and long.
Oh, nice play again inside by Jeremy Miller. And there's Nick Singleton down there. And down at the bottom of the pile, number 24, Gerasimo.
Well, Bill, we should take before and after shots because Aliso Niguel, they're going to be one big mud ball at the end of this game. And Pacifica might look okay because they have all those dark jerseys. Pretty good crowd on hand. Again, this is an early start tonight, a 7 o'clock game, and the 405 was an absolute mess coming here. Even I took the toll road,
yeah,
and right when I got down to the 73, it was still pretty bad. So people that arrived late, hope you able to watch us on TV and catch the first quarter. 3rd down and 7. Of course, the game is played all week long on Cox Cable Channel 3 at 8 o'clock. Stern, what a pretty pass. But you know what? I think there was this receiver and him kind of miscommunicated there.
But you know, that was a different defense. That Wyatt Hayden, the linebacker, was out on the wide receiver that time, and Pacifica ran what we call a twist route. The outside receiver runs a slant, the inside guy twists outside and goes up the sideline. But as you said, the receiver, the ball was intended for
Darren Miles.
For Darren Miles. He never saw the ball, and good pressure again by the Aliso Niguel defense.
Bill, you know, the character of a good team is one that can bounce back, and Aliso Niguel didn't waste any time. 2 plays, and they're right back in this game, down 7-6, 55-yard TD by Scott Nemeth. Now, this punt goes straight up and straight down, and it'll be registered maybe as a, about 8-10-yard punt. He was rushed heavily, and he had no other choice but just to boot that thing as high as as far as he can go.
You got it. Credit Pat Hurley for putting on pressure, and that punt, well, let's see, Paul, that is going to be a 4-yard punt.
Was I generous by 4 yards?
Yes, a 4-yard punt.
Hey, he was just lucky.
Doesn't do much for your average.
No, he was lucky just to get that one off the end of his foot. So 1st down at 10 from the 44-yard line. You're just joining us. This is the Division 8 CIF Finals. Aliso Niguel, first time they've ever been here. Pacifica, 2nd time they've been here. This will be their 2nd opportunity to win one. They haven't won a CIF title in football. They're going to be called here. Aliso Niguel is offsides. So
just a little anxious now.
It'll be 1st down and 15, Bill.
Number 32 that time, playing fullback, a guy we don't normally see on defense, Wyatt Hayden. And they use a number of different guys at fullback, Nick Gerasimo, Wyatt Hayden. Paul, Pacifica has played this 4-4 defense for as long as I can remember, at least the entire time that Bill Craven's been there. What it does is it puts your secondary out on an island. If you're a corner in this defense, you're by yourself a lot.
I was going to say, you have to be one fast cornerback.
And it's really a defense that is designed to stop the running game, and then you've got to take your outside linebackers and let them play pass. But if you look at Mashburn, he's single covered. And the top of the screen, that's number 44 up there at the top of the screen for Aliso Niguel, and that's Darren Luke. He's also single covered.
Bill, I'm happy to see you take the salt off your pretzel.
Thank you. That's not part of my diet either, I guess.
You see you know what? The people that never get called upon, that never get noticed are the offensive linemen, but they do such a great job. The guys up front on both these teams have done a wonderful job to get here. Usually the skill players, we're calling out their names all the time, but take a look at the 5 guys up front. Right now they got a full line. take a look at them from time to time and watch
Single
what happens.
covered.
And this one's up in the air. The tip drill almost caught there by Jason Simpson.
You know, it's going to be really up to Wes tonight, Wes Thomas, to be able to take advantage of those single covered opportunities. And we were talking before the game, what do you do on a muddy field? Well, this one just kind of is a little high, and that again is something you have to judge by your release point, how muddy the ball is. But what do you do in a muddy field? I think you throw early before the field gets to be a mess.
And Bill, you know what? If that ball's not tipped, it's intercepted.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But he has to tip it. He has to go for it. 3rd and 12. Thomas, 5-yard drop.
Look at Nemeth out the back door.
Nemeth incomplete. On the turn, he could not hold on to it, so it'll be 4th down. So that good field position will go all for naught for the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, other than pushing Pacifica back deep.
You're
on
right.
Offense.
You're right. This punt may put him down in the corner, but a well-designed play. Wes Thomas rolled right. They ran the corner off with John Hefty, and then Nemeth came out of the backfield. I think they'll come back to that.
Fair catch made. While I'm thinking about it, Bill Cunardy and the Saddleback Gauchos were on Coach's Corner this past week, and we talked about, the last thing that I talked about was a stadium. Now, Santa Margarita practiced yesterday on Saddleback's field, and the field is absolutely perfect. That's the best field in Southern California, probably as good as the field up at the Rose Bowl or the Coliseum. Now, if you take a look at this field is a catastrophe compared to Saddleback, so it sure would be nice, once again, to have a bowl stadium at Saddleback where teams like this could go play on a great field in a great area and really light up the sky.
We're going to work at it. Uh-oh, man-to-man, and here comes the blitz. I'll tell you, they're going to call face mask penalty there on Jeremy Miller, who made another great play. And I think the official is going to say that he had him by the face mask, he tackled him. That's what he's going to call. Now watch this. This is a great up-the-field push by Jeremy, and it's just like when he reaches out. You know, that's inadvertent, but in high school, if you remember, those officials told me it's a 15-yard penalty no matter what. Now, look at that mascot.
I walked in with a lot of people from Pacifica tonight, coming into the gate very early, and I thought it was deaf after I walked in here. They were yelling so loud. They were fired up, and they still are. They're up by a point.
Pacifica has a lot of graduates here. I look around the stands, I see Letterman jackets that look like they're 20 years old. So, you know, in this case, the community takes great pride in that school.
You know, another area that does that really, really well is Orange High School.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Remember when Tom Meese used to coach there?
Yes, I do. Serendipitous Tom.
4:12 to go in the first.
Paul, as this winds down again, I'd like to thank you personally for just allowing me to come and do this with you every week. I have so much fun doing this. We get to see some great young people. But congratulations, too, to all the high school teams and coaches that put in so much time to entertain everybody. And we get to see these two teams in the finals, but there are a lot of teams that worked just as hard that didn't have quite as much success.
Well, this young man's having some success, Bill. I believe he gets a first down on that carry all the way out past the 30-yard line. Number 28, this young man's going to have a big game. Casey Huffmeyer, he's already been part of 4 different plays.
You know, that was a nice little play, a little inside reverse. There's the reverse handoff and kind of a misdirection play. And Casey does a nice job of getting the ball in his outside arm. That's good coaching. If you get hit and you fumble, the ball goes out of bounds and you don't lose it.
You know what's odd about that, Bill? I was watching either a college game or a pro game, and one of the commentators said it didn't matter what hand you carried the ball in. I thought that was very surprising when I heard that.
That commentator probably never played the game.
Yeah.
Or if he did, he was a lineman.
Yeah, I was very surprised. 1st and 10, there's a flag on the play, and maybe, I don't think they took enough time. I think somebody lined up on the wrong side of the ball, or a little over the ball, and it looks like it's going to go against Aliso Niguel. Stupidest penalty there is in football right now, because all you have to do is look down the line, just tell the kid to move back a little bit, and you're okay.
You know, someday, Paul, if we just keep saying that, perhaps the high school federation will change that rule. That rule is asinine.
It really is.
If a guy is in the neutral zone, lines up in the neutral zone, then you know, give him a chance to get back. Or if he stays in there, you can call offsides when the play starts. But little slant pass.
This one's up in the air.
Oh, nice play by Wyatt Hayden. Stepped right in front of that. You know, what you're beginning to see here is the Pacifica offense is really right now composed of spread the field, throw the quick passing game. Here's JD. Watch this quick three-step game. And you see Wyatt Hayden step right in front, almost picked that thing off.
You know, these two teams are very used to a field like this, Bill. Over at Aliso Niguel, that field took a bath last week.
Sure did.
And Aliso Niguel played there 2 weeks ago in the rain. And tonight they come into this game playing in a very muddy field. Last night it rained pretty good. This morning it was really damp. And the fog was heavy around the beach area, and that creates moisture. Good tackle.
Boy, when you tackle Paul Topol, he's 6'1" and 210 pounds. But Nick Singleton up to the task, came up and popped him.
Right where he's supposed to.
And bang, right there.
Two-legged takedown. 3rd and 2. 7-6 with 2:32 to go in the first quarter. Pacifica leads it. They were up 7-0 off a fumble recovery on a lateral. 45-yard touchdown by Wes Choate. Wolverines come back 2 plays later. 55 yards. Scott Nemeth on a handoff, untouched for the score. They missed the PAT. We stand at 7-6.
Let's see if they got the first down. And we talked about number 35, Jeff Burt, 6'1", 225-pound senior, and he's a load, boy, I tell you. But I can tell you this: I don't think Pacifica is going to make a living out of running at this Aliso Niguel defense. Now they take Burt out of the game, which means they're probably going to go back to that 4 wide receiver set. I think that's probably the best chance Pacifica has. They're going to be in trips right now. A single back, J.D. Stern the quarterback, and Aliso looks like they're in straight man-to-man on defense.
Stern spreading it out. He finds a man off the fingertips.
If I'm Pacifica, and I think that's a good way to attack this defense, take J.D. Stern and sprint him out. Give him a little more time, because in cup protection, which is what they did before, which is straight drop back where your linemen are trying to protect a spot directly behind the center, I think Aliso Niguel has too good a pass rush for that. But by sprinting him out, they're giving him an opportunity to maybe get out on a little bit better part of the field. Now Aliso lines up in a 2 deep, so this will be a little bit more of a zone concept.
2nd and 10, 1:45 to go. There's a hole off the left tackle. What a great move. First down. What a great move to change directions on this slippery field. Credit number 28. Once again, I told you he's going to be a factor in this game. Casey Huffmeyer.
That's a nice call. The draw play when you're in 4 wide receivers is normally a pretty sound play, because you have people spread out.
Watch his choice right here, Bill, to go outside. Look at that great block.
That's a nice cut. Now number 88's got to get some credit there too, the wide receiver Jeff Gilpin. And Jeff's a big guy, 6'4", 195-pound senior.
This Pacifica football team is a good team. 2nd and 10. They've controlled the clock on this drive. 1:21 to go in the quarter. Stern.
Middle screen
pumps
fake.
Twice.
Now, Paul, people are starting to do this, and what they're doing is they fake the middle screen, which is we talk about has become America's play, and they take the person who normally goes out and blocks the corner, and he runs a go route. So the quarterback will come back and pump fake the middle screen, and wham, that guy's open deep.
Try to freeze those guys in the secondary.
Exactly.
Can I come out and play for the Gauchos next year? Just
I'm putting a helmet on
1
you,
week.
man.
I'll get killed after 1 week and go
No,
home
let me tell you what.
ice my body.
You'd be good. You could do this.
I formation, 2nd down and 10. Right up the belly, but look at that play. 2 different Wolverines on there. Number 68 comes up and makes the initial tackle, Bill. We've called his name many times. That's Ryan Valadez.
You know, the 2 guys inside there look so much alike to me. David Seal and Ryan Valadez, 66 and 68. Sometimes I can't tell the difference in the numbers. I can tell you this. They both play at the same speed, and that's about 100 miles an hour.
That's right. I want to tell you about Capistrano Car Company tonight. Their car of the week is a 1987 Toyota Celica, $34.95, a 5-speed with air, white with blue interior, a 10-stack CD player. It's in the trunk, and 4 brand new tires. The car's in perfect conditions. That's Capstrana Car Company, located right off of Avery Parkway in Laguna Niguel. Stern down the middle. Now on a dry field, his receiver might have caught up with that football. Now that's really hard, Bill. You're looking at, you practice 14 weeks, 15 weeks in the season on a dry, probably a very dry practice field, so you work out your timing. You get into a situation like this where your quarterback is okay on the timing because he doesn't have to drop back that far, but your wide receiver takes a little while to get up this field.
Well, you know what they're doing right now that I really like, and we've put it to good use, is they're in the shotgun. Let that guy sit back there. He doesn't have to worry about the footing and catch the ball and play and just throw it. Now, don't be surprised if you see a block kick here.
4th down.
Oh, the kicker did a nice job to get it away, but it's going out of bounds again. Well, that's another 4-yard punt.
That's right. Well, as the punt goes out of bounds, we go inbounds with Bobby.
Thanks, Paul and Bill. When I spoke with Coach Wood earlier tonight, I asked him if he was worried at all about Pacifica throwing the ball a lot tonight. And the first thing he said was, hey, we knew coming into this game that not to put all our eggs in one basket, expecting them to only pass the ball. We know they're going to run the ball as well. And he said that what they plan to do tonight is try to stop their run as well, just as they have done to all their opponents that they've come up to all year long. Back up to the booth.
Well, Trent Purley gets out on the outside, and he gets across the 45-yard line. This will be the end of the first quarter. Pacifica leads at 7-6. We'll be back with more after this. Second quarter starts with a bang. Check this out. Scott Nemeth he takes it on the 50, bounces outside. Nobody can really get a hand on him. A great stiff arm.
Now watch this. There's a block downfield right there by John Hefty.
And then another block by Hefty. Look, he had 2 blocks on that play.
I'll tell you what, Scotty is having himself a night. That is 2 great long touchdown runs. And Paul, I mentioned to you
just seconds
ago,
just
before we did that I thought if Aliso Niguel would just line up and run right at these guys, the linemen are doing a fabulous job controlling the line of scrimmage. Now they may go for 2. Watch this, Paul. Yes, they do. They're going to run a little option.
Thomas
and
is
now
not
he can
going to
pitch
get in.
it.
Well, he pitches it, and then the ball is fumbled into the end zone, but there's 2 flags on the play.
I think they might call a face mask. Now, when Wes Thomas ran this option play, this for most people, most teams call it swinging gate. And that is you line up in this formation that is offset off the ball, and then most teams shift back and kick the extra point. In this case, the direct snap went to Wes Thomas, and he ran an option. And it looked to me like a face mask. I'm going to wait and see what the officials are talking over here.
I think I saw one of the
Here comes the white hat. The white
hat.
hat's going to give us the answer here. Yes, it is. Face mask. So we're going to see this thing done over again. Now, if I'm Aliso Niguel this time, the ball's going to be on the 1.5. I get in my power eye. I let Gerasimo lead block, and I just play smash mouth here. Let's see what happens.
How about those 2 great blocks just moments ago by John Hefty? Otherwise, they would be around the 25-yard line right now.
Okay, they're in 2 tights and a wide. Gerasimo's the fullback.
Great shot as we see it down the center line. Nemeth, and he might not get in. He will not get in.
That is great defense by Pacifica. Great defense.
The score, 12-7. Aliso Niguel has missed 2-point after attempts. We'll be back. They lead it. Very seldom that you expect a great game and you get one. We have one. 12-7 right now in the second quarter, 11-17 to go. Timeout on the field. Wolverines have missed 2-point after attempts. Really, Bill, they've missed 3 times because they've had 2 opportunities the last time to get in. A face mask brought them down, so they had an opportunity to try it again. If you're Aliso Niguel on offense and you haven't been able to score from 2 yards out on tight plays like that, what's your thoughts? The next time out, you got to go for 2 again if you score a touchdown.
We were just talking about our bowl game up at Sacramento that happened to us. We had our first extra point attempt blocked, and it seems like from there on, you're running 2-point plays trying to catch up. we got to a point late in the game where after Jake Anderson's interception, we just kicked it again. And, you know, it's that little chart you look at, and you get ahead. When Aliso, if they score again to make it 18, they'll go for 2 then. And pretty soon at that point, you kick a field goal somewhere along the line and try and catch up. But you just hope that those 2 things don't cost you the game somewhere along the line.
Single coverage on everybody right now. It doesn't matter. Jason Stern puts a knee down.
Knee touched on the ground.
Well, I was almost going to say, Bill, right here has interception written all over it right now. Muddy field, you're slippery in the backfield when you're going to pass the ball. You've got a great secondary with Aliso Niguel, so you have to be careful. Actually, it looks like the quarterback and the running back ran into each other. Number 32 for Pacifica, we've called his name tonight, Scott Yost, the wide receiver, so he was back there blocking.
Okay, now we've got number 81 back in the shotgun formation. And this is going to be just a straight snap and run. And, you know, I don't know if anybody else saw that, and I just kind of get used to looking at quarterbacks, and that's Rich Campos, who's a wide receiver. And, you know, if you're not paying close attention, you think, okay, they're just in the shotgun. Yep. Well, they took J.D. Stern out of the game, and they put this guy in, and it's almost like a single wing play. But J.D. is back in the ball game now, and, you know, I think that's good coaching. Hey, get people spread out, and you might give them a little bit of a twist.
David Seal was trying to make the tackle, and he was held, so they'll back up Pacifica. David Seal hung out, got the official call before he ran over to his huddle to tell everybody what happened. So this will back him up.
You know, Paul, I think a lot of people try to hold David Seal because they can't block him.
What's his future look like, Bill?
Well, obviously I'm prejudiced. I'd love to have him play for us. I just think I love his heart and desire, and he's a good student, and I think he's a terrific football player.
2nd and 22.
Now look at this. This is all man-to-man, and here comes the blitz. And if you're the quarterback, you had better get rid of it fast. There it is. Now I'll tell you, they had the right thing called. They had a little screen pass set up to number 36, Paul Topol. But Paul, did you see that? There wasn't a defender deeper than 5 yards. And when Wyatt Hayden and Nick Girasimo come on that blitz, your first inclination if you're the quarterback is, okay, I see those guys. Well, now the linemen are trying to block those guys, and now Valadez and Miller and Seal come free. And it's a gamble on Jimmy O'Connell's part, but it's a great call, I think.
If I'm Pacifica's special teams coach, I'm worrying right now because his punter hasn't been able to get off a good punt yet.
There's the draw.
And they're pretty far deep, so they're going to be a 4th down and very long, about 18 yards to go, but their punter will be deep in his own territory, and he hasn't really had a lot of time to punt tonight yet. Jason Simpson,
you know,
is going
Paul,
out on the field.
You get this impression, you watch this football team enough, how really skilled Aliso Niguel is at tackling. And it's something, you know, it's hard to practice it every day because you wear everybody out. But Paul Tessier, the wide receiver, number 16, who is a very, very gifted receiver, is back there to punt. And
low snap.
Here comes the rush again.
And he gets off a better punt that time, but you know, he hasn't gotten a great snap yet. Down at the 42-yard line, 41 if they're lucky. And he's had to take that ball off the turf a couple times, and that really hasn't helped him out. So you can't take anything away from that young man.
You know, Paul, if I'm Pacifica again, I have to change the way I punt right now. Their punt is a spread formation, and with a bad snap and bad footing, they're going to get it blocked.
Hurry up offense. No huddle. Wes Thomas to Trent Purley. He gets 4 yards on the carry. So this is something new that Aliso Niguel comes out doing in this game. They've done it before, but tonight they haven't done it. A no-huddle offense, but now they go back to the huddle. Scott Nemeth comes into the game. Also coming into the game for Trent Purley is Girasimo. I want to thank the people at Aliso Niguel and also Pacifica for being so generous and kind and letting us bring this game to you tonight on the Game of the Week. Time Warner Cable in Garden Grove, and also Cox Communications in cooperation with Athletes in Motion. My name is Paul Higgins, along with Bill Cunardy and Bobby Higgins joining us on the sidelines. Fumble, and Pacifica has it.
It's that guy we talked about before, too, and he's having himself quite a night. And that is number 59, Roland Hodgenall. You know, Paul, I think perhaps the Wolverines are going to come back to that motion with Mashburn, because if it is man-to-man, in that case, if they do a little play action, it's going to be wide open. And, you know, this stuff happens. Turn the ball over. It's great defense. After a poor punt, Pacifica has the good fortune now of getting that ball right back again.
Right.
But I think Aliso Niguel doing the right things with that offense, and that is just staying north and south and trying to run the ball.
8:41 to go in the first half. 12-7, Aliso Niguel. Pacifica has the ball. They led it early, 7-0. J.D. Stern, the quarterback, he fires one out. And you're just kind of wondering when they're going to start to complete these. They've done it so many times, the law of averages have started to pick up for them now. That's about a 7-yard gain, so it'll be second down and short. Pass completed out on the flat to number 88. And watch this play, a good pass. Jeff Gilpin, 6'4", 195 pounds, lunges forward.
I really like what Pacifica's doing with their offense. They use, in this case now, they're in a two tight end formation. And they're doing some nice things. They're not static. They change up a little bit. Now they're going to go to the same route again.
First down. And a little extra activity over there. You're going to get a flag.
Yeah, there's no real reason for that. The guy's out of bounds. You stop playing. And it's things like that, the penalties that, you know, make the team earn it. Don't give them 15 yards.
You'll watch the extra activity as we go out of bounds here. And Singleton is going to be called on the penalty. And, you know, you're pretty excited right now. It's a CIF final. You're pumped up a little bit. I'm sure that Coach will talk to him and let him know. But right now, Singleton stays out on the football field, and they'll move the ball all the way up to the 31-yard line.
You know, Nick's had a great year out there playing corner, and I'm sure he'll come right back and make a great play. A little power eye now. See this? Look, they've gone 4 wides. They've gone 2 tights. Now they show power eye, and they go right back to that formation again, which it's nothing new, but if you have a certain kind of defense called, it might make you change a little bit.
Pass out on the flat, incomplete. Bill, while I'm thinking about it, I want to let everybody know what's going on in the month of January, along with our basketball season, our wrestling season. I've got some very hard-working people as we take a look at this pass right here, coming at you just off the fingertips. But coming up at Snow Summit, January 28th through February 2nd, is the winter.
Not me, right?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's the Winter X Games, and it's something really, really spectacular. Right now, we're putting together 10 different shows for ESPN, and we have some hardworking people: Tina Horsepool, Neil Ing, Bobby Higgins, and Paul Del Pizzo working on shows. And it's going to be real exciting to see the Winter X Games with ESPN. That's an inside plug, because these athletes that don't get a lot of recognition, the snowboarders, the ice climbers, snow mountain bike racers, and something new, the super modified shovel racers also.
Wait a minute, is that something you and I could do?
That's
Modified
something I
shovel?
wouldn't even try to do it.
Oh
It's
my
really,
gosh.
I don't want to take up a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun. Check it out, Snow Summit coming up in January, and also on ESPN. Phil, I think that when you look at what we're going to look at right now, 3rd down and 10, the momentum definitely with Pacifica. How do you keep it up right here? I know a first down would be nice, but how do you get that first down in a situation like this?
Well, they've gone to the short passing game in this entire drive. The draw play's been semi-effective for them. They're going to go back to the, here's that twist route again.
Man open. Boy, they get a first down and then some. Look at that. Now, he stepped out of bounds on the 8-yard line, but a great acrobatic move.
That's number 39, Daryl Miles. And Paul, they caught Aliso Niguel in man-to-man, and they ran that twist route again. The outside receiver runs a post. Now watch this. You see JD, there goes the inside receiver. Now the outside receiver breaks back to the corner, and boy, that is a pretty route. You know, I'm mistaken. That wasn't the twist route. That was a great corner route run by number 39, and that is Daryl Miles.
Daryl Miles, the
nice
wide receiver.
Throw, too.
26 receptions on the year for 455 yards. 2 touchdowns for that young man. Up the belly of Aliso Niguel, down to the 5-yard line. So this is when you look at special teams. Now, special teams for Pacifica up to this point hasn't been exactly what they wanted. They're playing on a terrible field right now. On the other side of the ball, special teams with Aliso Niguel has not been what they wanted either. here, Pacifica could take advantage of that.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see what formation they come out in, because the ball's on the 6-yard line. This is not a great place to come out in 4 wide receivers, and they've got that hammer in the backfield there, number 36 right now, Paul Topel. So they're in 2 tights, which is a much better running formation. And let's see if they just go single back zone play. No, they're going to throw the fade.
In the corner.
There's the fade
Tessier,
route.
Touchdown. Beautiful pass and a great reception in the corner of the end zone. Pacifica takes the lead, 13-12. Watch it. Quick release right in the corner and led him perfectly. Tessier, no doubt about it.
Boy, that's a nice route. Now, Paul, they're going to go for 2. And the reasoning behind this, you're ahead 13-12. If you go for 2, then you're ahead by 3, and a field goal can only tie. So something about this game people may not know too. You know, high school playoff games go into overtime if it's tied until you get to the finals. If the finals end in a tie, it's a co-championship.
Timeout on the field. And
timeout for Pacifica. Yeah, interesting.
Bill, I always look back to the Mission Viejo El Toro game, the semifinal game did right here.
That's right.
Right on this field. Bob Johnson, the head coach, Brett Johnson at quarterback. Or was it Rob Johnson?
That was Rob.
That was
then,
Rob
yeah.
Johnson then.
That was,
and Rob Johnson actually was a wide receiver. Steve Stenstrom was the quarterback.
That's right. And I tell you what, that game was
Who the heck won that game?
With El Toro.
El Toro ended up winning. I'm thinking, I didn't even remember who won. I just remember
Bill
it was a great
Denny
game.
was playing for Mission, well, that was a tremendous game.
Let's take that one out and air that sucker sometime.
That would be good to see. I think a lot of the guys now that are 24, 25, 26 years old would love to see that.
Yep. Well, I have all the game of the weeks. So.
I can tell you a 50-year-old that would like to see it.
Not you. You're not 50.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm in the senior citizen division.
While I have this opportunity, you see a great crowd on hand, but on Coach's Corner, we talked about Saddleback. Well, today, they were crowned the co-national champions by the USA Today. So congratulations goes out to Bill Cunity, his staff, Dick Stutz, Coach Patton, everybody over there at Saddleback. Going for 2.
Halfback in the flat, and a great play by Nick Singleton.
So Singleton comes up, makes the play, 13-12. Pacifica with the 1-point edge. Welcome back to the game of the week. I'm Paul Higgins on Bill Cunity. Bobby Higgins working the sidelines. I want to thank Lapes Athletic Team Sales for sponsoring the game of the week. They are great individuals over there. I know we're running their football commercial right now, but please check out their basketball gear, their baseball gear, their wrestling outfits if they have. Anything you need for any sport over at Lapes Athletic Team Sales. Check in with Bobby right after this play. Thomas with the pitch to Nemeth. He's been so hard to bring down tonight, but they do a good job that time. Bobby, I know the excitement level is high and the field is a little muddy. How is it all together down there?
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to report in on, is the field condition. And I don't know if you can tell from where you guys are looking at, but down here on the ground, anywhere that you do not see the least bit of green, it is very, very slippery. And I know Pacifica's blue uniforms, you can't see the mud on it as well as you can for Aliso Niguel, but these guys are getting really wet and really slippery down here. Also, when I had asked Coach Craven from Pacifica before the game what he was going to do about the condition of the field, if it would change his passing game, he said, you know, at this point, there's nothing I can change. We're just going to have to stick with the game plan that we've had all year. And if you notice, Pacifica has been sticking pretty evenly, pretty balanced with the run and the pass. When I posed the same question to Joe Wood from Aliso Niguel, he felt that this field condition would be better for them because they have a lot of the run game in their offense. And he also said, you know, we'll play a little sloppy, but we played in this kind of field before, so it should be good. Let's go back to the booth.
And a good thing about that, both teams have to play on the same field, so nobody's got the advantage at this point. And as Bobby was talking about the field, Bill's up here cleaning his shoes off. We were on the field just slipping and sliding.
That's right.
Taz Murtaugh from Aliso Niguel said, what are you doing in those nice shoes down on this dirty field?
That's right.
First down and 10 for Pacifica. Aliso Niguel had to punt. J.D. Stern going right back to the air. They have a man open, almost caught. Tessier with a diving attempt. Bill Craven right there to congratulate that young man on that effort.
You know, that's again, I think from the game plan standpoint, Pacifica not afraid to stick with what they've done all year. The pump and go takes a little bit of time, so you've got to give Pacifica's offensive line some credit there. And I'll tell you what, I am very impressed with this guy, J.D. Stern, the quarterback. He is a 6 foot, 165-pound senior. He's got a nice field presence about him, and he throws the ball very well. Very impressive.
Brad Moore is lined up on number 16 right now, Paul Tessier. Nothing going there for Pacifica.
They had a lot of guys out in front of that pitch sweep, but then there were a couple of Wolverines, number 20, who came up and made a pretty good play that time, Alex Mucha, and also number 88 coming out of the secondary, Brad Moore.
Brad Moore got a stinger of some kind on his hand. He was up shaking that thing loose. He's coming off the field right now, being replaced. Also going off the field is number 20, Alex Mucha.
What a great crowd, Paul. Look at this.
It is. It's a very good crowd.
Pacifica has filled their side of the stadium, and Aliso's filled their side, and it's a very, very special night for these people.
Some of the Aliso Niguel people are still on the freeway right now. 3rd and 8.
Here's the shotgun again. Underneath route.
Nobody's open.
They're going deep.
There's a push there.
Now you see Scott Nemeth now on Tessier, which means that Aliso's probably going to start matching up athlete on athlete.
Very good point, Bill. I was wondering because Tessier had his man beat a couple times. Scott Nemeth comes over to help out. Bill Craven was watching a little bit of contact, but I like the officials not calling that. I mean, it's really, tonight's an offensive game. It's turned into that, really.
Yep.
It's, you know, you got a lot of points up on the board, 13-12 here in the second quarter. These officials doing a good job of letting these boys play. There's one play in the first quarter that Aliso Niguel might want to take a look at again.
Paul, here's that punt formation again. I think it's trouble.
Better snap and a better kick than before it takes a Pacifica bounce. So Tessier, who is he's just getting back to get his breath out there every time he has to punt the football. He's on both sides of the ball tonight.
You know, if I'm Paul Tessier back there, I'm going to start signaling to my coach, hey, would you pull these guys in and let them block a little bit? Because I just think somewhere in this game, that punt formation is going to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
Because Aliso's bringing the kitchen sink. And under these conditions, it's tough for somebody to snap the ball, number one. And number two, for Tessier, although he's a great athlete, to catch it and kick it. So, I don't know. We may see that somewhere down the road.
These two teams going for their first ever CIF title. First opportunity for Aliso Niguel, second opportunity for Pacifica.
Here's unbalanced, and all they do is check back to the side away from the overload.
Purley down to the 49.
And there's a guy, I know we've talked about him. He's been the only center in the 4 years of this school, number 54, Ryan Herbon. And I just, you know what I think of this guy. He is a terrific football player. He's so steady. You know, when you watch him, I know he's also an excellent wrestler. So something you did very well. But how about if you're, you know, the only center a school's had for all 4 years of the existence of it?
They're going to miss that young man.
He's snapped a few footballs.
2nd and 7. 2:35 left. Nemeth. I got Scott and Nemeth.
Nemeth. That's a good word.
Well, they've really tapped into him now. He's got 2 long touchdown runs. You know, I was going to mention that coming into this game, Pacifica was great on defense. They have been outstanding. You watch Scott Nemeth run the football, but in their very first victory against Laguna Hills in the first round of the playoffs, you know, they held Mike Jones to only 69 yards rushing. Now that's saying something about this defensive line. It's no fluke that Pacifica is here.
But they've given up 2 long touchdown runs tonight to Nemeth, and I think that's a credit to the Aliso Niguel offensive line.
Exactly. 3rd and 3, taking it, slipped. Now Nemeth trying to move from right to left, and his feet just slipped out from underneath him. And conditions of this field, we have to talk about it. We're going to continue to talk about it in the second half because the field's going to get worse. Reason why, it's going to start getting a little more damp here as the
I think they're going to call a timeout.
Sets in.
If they don't call a timeout pretty soon, too much time is running. Yeah, okay, they called a timeout. There was a little indecision there, Paul, about 1 minute and 34 seconds left in the half. Do you want to try and get the first down? And it's 4th, and we'll say 3. if you don't, you give Pacifica a chance to score again.
That's right.
And so it's a tough decision, but
I was wondering if we can get a
that's
quick...
why they pay coaches the big bucks, you know?
I was wondering if we can ask our director, Mike, tonight to get a quick shot of Bill Craven inside the huddle out there. It's going to be tough to see him from any one of our camera's angles because he's dwarfed right now in the defensive huddle. Didn't get a chance to see Bill. Here he comes off the field. And as we look above, there is Bill. That is Bill, right?
Yep, he's done a great job for a long time.
He spent a lot of time tonight with my wife, Bobby, before the game, talking to her about this contest, and I really appreciate that. Coaches that call up and give us their lineups, and they call up and kind of check in with us to see what we need. Really appreciate your effort. Hope to see you again on the game of the week.
You know why this is a really special night for him? Because he coached Jim O'Connell, the Aliso Niguel defensive coordinator.
4th and 3. 1:34 to go in the first half. 13-12 Pacifica. Nemeth has got it, and he wrestles for it, but he won't get it.
He's not going to make it. That's going to be short.
Who came up and made that great first hit, Bill? I lost his number on the spin.
The first guy that hit him was number 54 for Pacifica, and that's Ramez Amari. And then the guy that came up and really wrapped it up, we've talked about.
Look at
There's
that.
54.
He stayed with him.
And number 35 also at the bottom of that pile, Jeff Burt.
Amari with the initial hit. So it does not pay off. At least right now it does not pay off. Be 1st and 10 on the 45-yard line with 128. Bill, I know with 128, you go side to side now, or you still continue to go up the field?
I think you go vertical. You either throw the short little pass or look up the field, but stay vertical. See this? It's really hard right now throwing the ball sideways for guys to make cuts and catch the ball. And I think that J.D. Stern has had more success throwing the hitch or the post or the corner where the ball is a little bit more on a vertical plane. Very tough to run sideways in the mud.
Our camera operator is doing an excellent job. We have 4 awesome camera operators on with us tonight. Really appreciate their effort.
Now you can see they bring Nemeth back in to play a little defense here.
J.D. Stern has that Dan Marino shotgun look. And he's going to line
the pass
up.
rush. They're going to call holding, I think. You know, this play may come back. Wyatt Hayden was in there on the blitz, and I think he was held. And I'm more and more impressed as this game goes on with J.D. Stern and also number 88, Jeff Gilpin. You know, does it surprise you watching Pacifica right now that they haven't scored a lot of points in the playoffs? I think they have an offense that looks like that they could really,
you're right.
You know, ring it up a little bit.
You mentioned it. They have not scored a ton of points in the playoffs.
But you know what Bill Craven told me too is a lot of these guys were hurt and banged up.
Great point.
In that little stretch in the season where they lost 3 games by 9 points total.
Well, you talk about the points that they've scored in the playoffs. They beat Laguna Hills 17-13, and just to hold Laguna Hills to 13 points is something. Mayfair, they knocked them off 15-13, and that was a field goal at the end of the game by Pacifica that beat Mayfair. And Rancho Alamitos, their league rival, 21-6 last week. And a great quote in the paper this week is the Rancho Alamitos boosters drove by Pacifica School and shouted out encouragement onto the practice field. That's motivation for you.
Well, they held a great running back, Leo Cozy, who is the crowning leader in rushing this year. They kind of held him in check. Leo still got 150 yards, but Paul, I tell you what, I think that's kind of neat that those Rancho Alamitos people would do something like that and say, you know, hey, we're all from the same league, same neighborhood, go get them in the finals.
That's right.
And I know that down in our area, all the people that are out of the playoffs now,
well, look at Steve Bresnan.
Pitching in
and writing an article for the Register.
They're all pulling for this Aliso Niguel bunch. And Paul, I still, as long as I've done this, I can't get over the atmosphere in something like this. You know, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing for some high school athletes to be able to play in a CIF championship game. And when this is over, you know, unless it's a tie, somebody's going to go home happy and somebody's going to go home sad. But when you look back at this, the experience, you say, hey, we got there. We played in the CIF finals. And
hold on to this tape. All you young boys out there playing out there on the football field, you young men. You know, you'll dub it on a CD-ROM someday, and you'll be able to play with it in that way. I don't know. All this new fandangle stuff they got. 3rd and 25. 13-12 with 47 seconds left in the first half. Pacifica leads it. No stopping. No, pardon me. No going past the defensive line that time of Aliso Niguel. Number 35.
Great
and there's
play.
a timeout. Number 35 for Aliso Niguel coming up that and making that play is Juan Buitrago, the linebacker. And Bill, this is good. You've got 40 seconds left. You're going to have to punt the ball away, and watch this play as Buitrago comes up. Special teams comes into play once again.
You know, it does. And if you look back at a minute and 40 seconds ago when Aliso went for it on 4th down, I think Joe Wood's thinking 2 things. Number 1, if we make it, we might be able to take it down and score. Number 2,
if we're lucky.
I like my defense.
Yeah.
My defense is playing well enough that if we don't make it, I think we can hold them. Not only have they held them, but they've, you know, with the penalty now, they've gone backwards. So you've got 40 seconds left in the half. You got a guy named John Hefty back there who's going to catch his punt. But Paul, remember what I said a minute ago? Here is that spread punt formation again. I think
could get blocked.
I don't know. I'm not going to say it again because I sound like I'm beating a dead horse. But
well,
I think this thing, it could get you in a little trouble.
Good punt. Tessier with a good punt. John Hefty. At the end of tonight's game, the conclusion of tonight's game, Bill and I will be selecting the Ballpark Pizza Team Athletes of the Week. Great honor in a CIF game, and also the Southern California Screen Printing Athletes in Motion Attitude in Motion Award. 2 individuals on the football field will be selected the Attitude in Motion Award. 31 seconds to go in the first half. 13-12.
You got to look for Mashburn or Hefty. I say you maximum protect and throw to one of those guys. There it is, the hitch and go.
Thomas.
Oh.
Thomas throws it out to Hefty, and number 81 for Pacifica kind of patted Hefty on the back and Rich Campos said, hey, thanks for not catching that sucker.
You know, that's tough. John Hefty's as fine an athlete as there is in the county. And watch Wes, a nice pump fake, great pass protection. And there's Johnny out in front and just slips through his hands. And people at home, if you've never tried to catch a muddy, wet football.
Over your shoulder.
That's right.
2nd and 10. Thomas, watch out. Getting flushed out of the pocket, staying up on his feet. He's going to throw it. Caught.
Got to get out of bounds.
And he does not. Ball continues. They stopped it.
Wow.
That's surprising because
yes,
he didn't get out of bounds.
13 seconds left, and I would think that unless they stop it just for
the first down
to move those sticks, the referee, if you see his arm go in a circle, yes, it does. Wind it in.
So
you better take that snap, Wes. Attaboy. That's a nice job by Wes Thomas.
To set it up, 9 seconds to go in the first half. The Wolverines are down by a point.
Paul, you've got 2 choices here. I don't think it's, you know, I mean, this is a horrible place to try and kick out there. And I know that the Wolverines still have one of the best ones in David Waltzman. But you've got 9 seconds left. I think 9 seconds is enough time to take 1 shot at the end zone and then perhaps try and kick the field goal. Now, there's no question Waltzman has a leg. He can kick it this far.
But in this mud.
You bet. That's going to be tough.
Because the snap has to be perfect in a field like this. 9 seconds to go. Mashburn at the top of your screen. Nemeth, the go-to man at the bottom. Watch for Scott Nemeth, number 2.
They're going to take a shot at Andrew Mashburn in the corner.
This one could be picked off in the end zone. Incomplete.
That's nice defense. Nice defense. They double-teamed him. 3 seconds left. Now you try and kick it. That's a good job. That's good coaching. A nice effort by both of those guys on defense back there for Pacifica. Number 32, the cornerback, and that's Scott Yost, and number 8, the safety, Jason Simpson.
Times of Orange County sponsoring our replay tonight, and check it out in the end zone. This could have been anybody's ball. Very well thrown. Good offensive play made by the wide receiver.
Nice job by Andrew to make sure that the interception wasn't made.
38-yard field goal in the mud.
Now, watch this. This is different. This is Scott Nemeth trying because it's a little longer field goal. Very powerful leg.
Left-footed. The kick, it's up, it's long enough, but it's wide to the left. There's a flag on the play. There is no time left on the clock. If it's a defensive penalty, which it looks like it's going to be,
that's right.
They'll have another opportunity at this.
The half or the game cannot end on a defensive penalty. If it's an offensive penalty, the half will be over. Now,
boy, isn't this fun?
Let's see what the official calls here.
This is really a fun game to call.
Oh, it's terrific.
I'm excited for these young men out there. I'm having fun. I'm 50 yards from these guys. They're on the field. They must be having a blast.
All right.
And look who's coming in. Waltzman's coming in.
This is a personal foul. And now, then that's going to tack on. Oh, boy. That's going to tack on from the point of the foul. 15 yards. Let's see when they mark it off.
So it'll be somewhere around
It's going to be on the 11-yard line. And now Waltzman's going to come in and try this field goal. And this will be a 26-yarder.
Yep, 27 yards. Waltzman, you can tell who Waltzman is. He has the cleanest jersey out there. Lining up now. He has a soccer-style approach, right-footed kicker, very consistent.
If you're Andrew Mashburn, you got to turn around. Last time you were on the other side.
The kick is blocked. Hey, look at that. They go in at halftime. One step closer to a CIF title. Pacifica leads it by 1. 13-12 at halftime. I'm Paul Higgins. Welcome to the game of the week, Division VIII CIF Championship. Go over the scoring for you in the first half, and what a great first half it was. Now, in the first half, there was a play by Aliso Niguel. It was a pass play, and it turned out to be a fumble recovery because the ball was called a lateral. 45 yards as Wes Choate picks it up untouched for Pacifica. He goes all the way for the touchdown. The point after attempt made it 7-0 Pacifica. Well, just a few short plays later, Scott Nemeth took off on a 55-yard run for Aliso Niguel. 7-6 because Aliso Niguel missed the PAT. So Pacifica led at that point. In the second quarter, once again, it was Scott Nemeth, 48 yards for a touchdown. But then again, the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, they missed the PAT. They tried a two-point conversion. They missed that. 12-7 Aliso Niguel. And then later on in that same quarter, the second quarter, it was a 5-yard pass from J.D. Stern to number 16, Paul Tessier, who's having himself a great game. They went up at that time 13-12, and Pacifica missed the PAT. So that's where we stand right now, 13-12. You got to credit Pacifica's defense at the end of this first half. They block a field goal attempt by Aliso Niguel. They have the lead by 1 point. The Aliso Niguel band is out on the football field for the very last time in 1996. We'll go out on that, and we'll come back with the second half. Well, there we go. That's the feeling right now. Pacifica High School, number 1. They're up by 1, 13-12 as we get set for the second half. Now Pacifica will have the ball first as we start the second half, and a very muddy and wet field on a cool Friday night here at LaBarge Stadium, the last high school football game of the year for these two teams. Many of these players will see themselves back here in July for the All-Star game. Aliso Niguel will kick it off, going from right to left. Once again, my name is Paul Higgins, along with Bill Cunity, Bobby Higgins joining us on the sidelines. And if you want a big motivation punch at the end of the first half, you block a field goal, and that's exactly, or a point after attempt, and that's exactly what Pacifica did, Bill. So momentum-wise, they might have the edge, but you sit in a halftime for 15 minutes, you cool down a little bit, you start to get time to think about the first half, and sometimes that long 15 minutes turns into a long 20 minutes. You know, you get back out in the field.
You know, Paul, you just hit on something that a lot of people maybe don't think about. They think halftime is when you go to the bathroom and go get a hot dog and whatever. I think it's the time when your football team can kind of gather themselves. The coaches go outside and talk about strategy. Then you come in and you make adjustments. And I think that's what coaching and strategy is all about. You know, look at what the team did to you in the first half and see if you can fix it. But we mentioned early on, Paul, that in a game like this, some small thing might have a huge bearing on the outcome of the game. And when you look at extra points, people take them for granted sometimes. And right now, that's the difference in the game.
Scott Nemeth kicks it off. Taken on the 5-yard line by Jeff Burt. Pardon me, check at number 39, Darryl Miles.
What a great run back.
Darryl Miles brings it all the way out to the 40-yard line. We'll take a look at the starting lineup. for Pacifica. The Mariners out of the Garden Grove League. J.D. Stern, the quarterback. Jeff Burt. Paul Topol, the offensive line, doing a great job, led by Ryan Woods at center. Gilpin, Huffmeyer, and Tessier, 3 outstanding athletes, and they have been seeing some action. We'll take a look at Aliso Niguel on defense right after this play. They spread him out once again, 2 wide receivers on either side of the ball. Tessier is the running back. Listed as a wide receiver, but he's been back there. He's blocking right now. Pardon me, there's Tessier. My fault. Tessier still on his feet.
I'll tell you what, that's a great throw by J.D. Stern. Tessier with a great catch and run. But they come out firing, Paul. And again, I'll tell you what I told you before. I'm amazed this team hasn't scored more points in the playoffs.
Take a look at the defensive lineup for Aliso Niguel Wolverines. Patrick Hurley, Miller, Seal, and Valadez up front. The linebackers for the Wolverines, Butrago, Girasimo, and Hayden. And then the secondary, Hefty, Portillo, Nemeth, and Singleton. Just inside the 3rd quarter of play, Pacifica knocking on the door.
Nice play by Nick Girasimo.
Now
It's his responsibility on that draw play, and he did a great job.
And that was Huffmeyer back there blocking moments ago, and Tessier got that ball from J.D. Stern, and Huffmeyer laid in a pretty good block, leaving time for J.D. Stern to throw that pass completion. So, Bill, this brings up a 2nd down. And about 10, they didn't get much on that play.
Now, how did you see that guy early? You picked him out early, Huffmeyer. You said he was going to do some good things in the game before he ever did anything, and he's had 3 great plays tonight.
It's maybe one of those feelings you get. You know, you get that instinct, and he just sometimes, you know it. You see a guy the way he has the extra hop in a step,
There's
as you
that
like
reverse
to say.
again. Oh, great defense out there. I'm thinking that's Scott Nemeth. I can't see because things are getting a little muddy, but
That is.
Yeah, I can tell the way he walks.
Actually, that's Singleton, number 1.
Well, right next to him is Nemeth, too.
Nemeth, yep, you're right. We got Huffmeyer, Singleton on the screen. Coming onto the field is number 36, Paul Topol. And Paul Topol also has done a wonderful job tonight in the backfield. When he's not running the ball, Bill, he's laying some blocks on some people. And that's a good sign. You know, a running back can help out an offensive line an awful lot on pass plays when he sits back there and blocks. Tessier making a motion to his quarterback. Tessier was trying, I'm not sure if he was trying to call a timeout or not, but Tessier was waving his hands at J.D. Stern.
You know, I'm looking at that, Paul, and you picked that up quickly. They were trying to change the play. I think that Tessier was trying to signal Stern that he wanted a different route, and then Aliso Niguel called timeout. And perhaps, and I'm looking at the offensive coordinator come out and talk to
Who was
J.D.
covering
Stern.
Tessier at that point?
Well, I think in this
Nemeth,
case,
or was it somebody else?
No, I think it was number 88 on the outside again. That's Brad Moore. But let's give some credit. We talked about the Aliso Niguel staff earlier. Bill Craven, the head coach of Pacifica, and his assistants Bob Cheney, Randy Franzman, Will Taylor, Bob Anderson, Bill Simpson, and Bo Larson. There they are, the principal of the Pacific Mariners, Peggy Mahfood, the athletic director, Chris Hurst, and they are in the Garden Grove League. And the Mariners are a nickname. I'm looking at some of the mascots they have down here, and I guess, would you call those Mariner mascots? I guess. I don't know what they are, but they're cute.
They're here.
Yeah, they're here.
A lot of teams aren't. 3rd and 8. Very important play right here, Bill. Looks like they're showing blitz, and they're coming.
Yes, they do. Now, Jim O'Connell with a little bit of a gamble there, playing straight man-to-man against all those receivers, but David Seal got to the quarterback in time. Ryan Valadez. Now watch this. Here comes Seal, 66. And you've also got Girasimo in there. And let's see. It looked like Wyatt Hayden, too.
At the end of tonight's game, Bill and I will be selecting the Ballpark Pizza Team Athletes of the Week. Ballpark Pizza Team has been a proud sponsor of the Game of the Week for 4 years now. Sponsoring the Athletes of the Week, Ballpark Pizza Team has 4 different locations in South Orange County. 2 in Mission Viejo, a store in Rancho Santa Margarita, and Laguna Niguel. Spreading out the punt offense once again, a high snap. This one almost gets blocked.
Fair catch, and that's going to be, well, it could have been fair catch interference, but a nice play by John Hefty. And give some credit to number 45 for Pacifica, and that's Wes Choate. It's very difficult to cover a punt you're running down and you're looking at the guy and you want to smack him, and you see him signal for the fair catch, and he's running at you, which means you got to get out of the way.
Especially on a field like this.
Yep.
First down and 10 for the Wolverines.
First possession of the second half, I think, is always critical because you'll see if your adjustments worked.
9:13 to go in this third quarter. A 1-point lead by Pacifica. Mashburn in motion.
Oh, play action, and there's the deep receiver.
They go short to Mashburn.
A nice route. Now, remember, we talked earlier about if you put Mashburn in motion and Pacifica's in man-to-man, they've got a long ways to go, and Andrew can run. Did you see that the corner finally came over and chased? But I thought the guy that was open early was John Hefty.
Bill, can you break down the play action right here?
Play action, look at the depth he's got and the protection. I'll tell you what play action does, Paul, is it keeps the lineman, the defensive lineman, near the line of scrimmage and discourages those linebackers from coming after you. And I think when you got a hammer back there like Nemeth, play action is a great choice. Now here's motion again.
Mashburn in motion.
Now you give it.
Nemeth.
And I think what they're setting up pretty quick here again is John Hefty on the go route. Either John Hefty or Andrew.
Some honors to give out tonight in the Pacific Coast League. The most valuable player offensively in the Pacific Coast League was Michael Jones on offense. Michael Jones, the junior out of Laguna Hills, the most valuable player. The most valuable player on defense is John David Seal, the senior from Aliso Niguel, playing here tonight. And the most valuable player on special teams in the Pacific Coast League is John Hefty. The most valuable player of the league, Scott Nemeth, the senior from Aliso Niguel.
There's play action, and you've got Gerasimo in the flat, wide open.
Great block by Mashburn. Oh, a shoestring tackle.
Boy, some credit to number 8 for Pacifica, Jason Simpson, who got a hand on Gerasimo. Now, Paul, we talked a second ago about the value of play action. The value of play action to a fullback in this case is that he's normally your lead blocker, and he pops out in the flat. Now there's nobody assigned to him. Wes Thomas with a nice throw, and I'll tell you, that is a touchdown saving tackle by number 8, Jason Simpson. Watch this. He dives and just catches Nick by a shoestring.
Between the 15-yard line and the 35-yard line is the worst part of this football field on both sides of the field, and that's exactly where they are. They're at the 29-yard line. Aliso Niguel knocking on the door. They're down by 1, 7:56 to go in the third quarter. So far, there's been no scores here in the third quarter. For the car of the week at Capistrano Car Company, right next to In-N-Out Burger off of Avery Parkway, they have a pristine 1987 Toyota Celica for $34.95. It's a 5-speed with air conditioning. It's white with blue interior, has a CD player, and 4 brand new tires. That's at Capistrano Car Company in Laguna Niguel off of Avery Parkway.
You see Wes Thomas checking the play at the line of scrimmage.
Scott Nemeth. While we have this opportunity, let's tell you who's out on the football field. On offense for Scott Nemeth in the second half, for Aliso Niguel Wolverines, is Scott Nemeth, along with Wes Thomas at quarterback, Trent Purley in the backfield. Their linemen up front, Nelson Kent, Herbon, Gray, and Frost. And their wide receivers led by Andrew Mashburn. You have Corey Chandler as the tight end and Derek Luke. We'll take a look at the defensive lineup of Pacifica right after this.
Second down. I think it's time for a little play action pass here again. John Hefty single covered. Now look, they're trying to roll toward Andrew Mashburn. That's where that free safety is. So John Hefty single covered over here.
Mashburn at the top of your screen. They go to
Corey Chandler.
Corey Chandler, who we just mentioned, down to the 11-yard line. Let's quickly check out Pacifica on defense while they're still out there on defense. Choate, Gunther, Milligan, Hodgenall. And you see the linebackers up front. Amari having a good game. Campos, Yost, and Simpson, the defensive backs.
What a nice drive this is by Aliso Niguel, Paul. This started back on the 29-yard line. And play action, nice bit of running. And
first and 10. Nemeth down to the 10-yard line. Temperature is starting to drop a little bit here at Lombard Stadium in Costa Mesa, California.
You know, Paul, you kind of get the itch up here if you called plays all your life that if they could play action toward the wing back and have the tight end run a corner route and the wing back in the flat, just the way Pacifica lines up right now, that would be very difficult to cover.
2nd and 9, pickup of 1. Mashburn at the top of your screen. You see him out there wide to the right. He sends himself in motion. I formation. He looks back. They hand it off. Stood up defensively. Look at that.
Boy, they are just playing some great defense. Number 35 on defense, Jeff Burt, and number 45, Wes Choate, inside to stop Nemeth. Now, again, with a situation like this, 3rd down and about 9, you know, you can play action here, although it's not quite as effective because I'm not sure you're going to run with 3rd and 9. But I think any kind of motion frees up the motion man, wherever that guy is, and they're going to come out, well, they're going to come out in a kind of a power I step, but here's Mashburn on the wing. Now, this is what I was talking about. If they put him in motion and then look to the fullback in the flat, here it is.
Everybody's covered.
Corey Chandler, touchdown. I'll tell you what, great execution of the play action by Wes Thomas, Corey Chandler, and what a drive by Aliso Niguel. I mean, that is great play calling, and Kurt Wessling in there doing a wonderful job, and Wes Thomas executing. And you've got to really be proud of that drive because you're playing against a great Pacifica defense. Really nice imagination during that drive with the play calling. Now, let's see how exciting this 2-point conversion is. Let's see what they do. Look at this. Nemeth is a wide receiver in this play.
Top of the screen,
I think they're going to try and pick and run Mashburn to the flat. Let's see if they do that. The 2 big guys inside. There it is. Mashburn in the flat.
Ball is thrown low and not enough. So it is 18-13. Another missed PAT attempt. 5:01 left. Aliso Niguel has the lead by 5. Oh my God. Holy cow. What a great attempt. Tessier, they go back to that play. Tessier almost makes another wonderful catch. They're going to connect on that, Bill. 18-13 right now. 4:56 to go in the 3rd quarter.
That's a terrific football player right there.
Yep.
Wow.
I wonder if we can turn up Bill Cunity in the truck a little bit. I'm having a hard time hearing him. I want to thank Santora's Pizza and Wings and Subs in Mission Viejo. They've been supplying us with food all season long. Santora's, I want to say hello to Chris, who's watching the game of the week at Santora's right now. Thanks a lot, Chris, for all your outstanding help with the crew. A fed crew is a happy crew. 4:56 to go.
Here comes
in
the blitz.
3rd.
Here comes the blitz, and they have a screen called. What a perfect call in that situation.
1st down. Oh, he gets knocked down by his own player.
You know, they're going to look at that on film, and they're going to be, you know, crushed. But Daryl Miles, in his attempt to make a block, actually made the tackle.
Watch this.
This is a great call against the blitz. And watch Daryl coming across there. And all the guy's trying to do is make a great block for his teammate. And he ends up right there, tripping the guy who might have gone all the way.
Did you see Huffmeyer when
Now, that's your guy again, Huffmeyer, right?
Did you see Huffmeyer when he turned around and caught the ball? He expected someone to be there to hit him, and nobody was there, and he ran upfield.
That's
Great.
An absolutely perfect call against the blitz.
Sure, good blocking, too, by the line. 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line. What an outstanding game.
Some great coaching going on here, I'll tell you.
Down the middle, and you're going to get pass interference. No? Oh, it looked like
Portillo with a great hit.
It was close. It was a bang-bang play. Maybe we can check it again on the replay.
You know, I don't see the Pacifica players complaining, and I like that. You know, just say, hey, that's pretty good football play. Watch the throw now. You can see Portillo breaking on the ball right now, and bang.
Boy, that was
that
was a good play.
It's a good call. And you know what? You don't get to officiate a final game unless you're good.
That was an outstanding
and
call.
These guys have earned this right to officiate this game.
That's why they're down there, and I'm up here. Great job by the officials. 2nd and 10.
I thought J.D. Stern threw another good ball.
Oh, didn't he? Ball is coming off the turf wet, and J.D. Stern trying to get a good grip on it.
There's the blitz.
You keep coming with that blitz because that's causing all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, you know, the guys that make that blitz are so effective. And I want to make sure if I get the muddy, yeah, that's Nick again, Gerasimu. But I think Nick would be the first one to tell you that the blitz works because of David Seal, Ryan Valadez, Jeremy Miller. Now watch this. There's Nick The center blocks off, and that back is not going to take care of Nick Girsima. That's a great play.
You think these kids will wash these jerseys after this game? They just hang them up on their wall.
Yeah, put them in
keep them all muddy
frame and hang them up.
Wouldn't you love a Packers jersey back from 1964?
You'd have to have a big can of air freshener.
Yeah. 3rd and 15, biggest play right now of the second half for Pacifica. J.D. Stern, who has stood in there and taken some shots, still at quarterback, doing a great job. He might get popped here again. Look at the pass, perfect. Tessier bounces off 3 players, down to the 35, down to the 30, caught from behind. At the 25, the most valuable player in the Pacific Coast League had to make the tackle on Tessier. And Tessier he must have
he's got
cramps because he's had a hard time the last 2 plays.
You know something, Paul? This is another great throw. This young man is really right on the money. Wet ball,
catch.
Wet field. Now watch Tessier. Oops, you don't have me yet. And you know why these guys are cramping up? Is it's so hard to keep your footing in this mud that you're constantly, squeezing those calf muscles.
Scott Nemeth makes the initial hit, then he comes back and makes the tackle, a draw play.
Yep, there's Wyatt Hayden, Ryan Valadez. Now, the danger in the type of defense that Jimmy O'Connell's running right now is you do have single coverage. The plus to it is you have more guys rushing the passer than they can block.
Yep.
So if you're Pacifica, what you want to do maybe is go to the 3-step game and just put it up. Just take a chance on a vertical route because you're not going to get a 5-step drop.
Yep.
You're probably not going to have time for that.
2nd and 13, 2:20 to go in the 3rd quarter. Pacifica trying to get up the field. Split their wide receivers.
Aliso Niguel doing a nice job of changing up on defense.
And I don't know if he caught an audible or not.
Yes, he sure did. He called the audible. He did a little...
Out on the 10-yard line, and another great throw and a pretty good, I'd say a great effort out there by number 88. Forget the pretty good, a really good try.
And Jeff
Gilpin out there once again.
Now that's a mismatch a little bit because Gilpin's 6'4". He's a big guy. But I really like what this quarterback's doing. There's the 3-step game. And that ball is thrown in a perfect spot, and that is a place where the defender can't get to it.
A nice over-the-shoulder attempt by Gilpin. 3rd and 13, another big play.
They better call timeout here. Well, maybe not. Now they look okay. Looked like they were in the wrong formation for a second.
Coming again. It's caught, but it won't be enough for a first down.
That's
down
a nice
to
tackle.
The 25-yard line.
Number 37 that time for the Aliso Niguel Wolverines, and that's Portillo, Andrew Portillo, with a nice play on defense. And, it's 4th down and 8, but the ball's resting on the 24-yard line.
Number 80 caught that football for Pacifica, his first catch of the night.
Okay, it looks like they're in a position where they can max protect for the quarterback. That's what they're doing, trying to pick up the blitz. And they throw the corner route.
Touchdown.
There it is.
No flags on the play. J.D. Stern to Daryl Miles, their 2nd time they've connected.
Tell you what, this young quarterback is having a fabulous night. J.D. Stern threw a perfect corner route, and we've called Miles' name several times tonight. So they go for it on 4th and 8. Here's the throw. And there's that corner route. And boy, I tell you, Pacifica just doing a wonderful job on offense tonight. And there's not a lot you can do on defense when the route is run that precisely and when the throw is that perfect. That's just great execution. They're going to go for 2 now.
Touchdown of the night.
They're going to go for 2 and try and get a 3-point lead.
J.D. Stern drops back. He's got plenty of time if he wants to run it. Throws it into traffic, and they make it. Unbelievable play on the quarterback. New ball game. Pacifica leads it once again. We'll be back. 59 seconds left to go in the third quarter. What a great game, 21-18. Pacifica leads it. Back and forth game all night long. Boy, it's going to be tough to write about this one in the paper.
That's right.
Jeez. And then they did this, and then they did that.
That's right. We just had a pass interference call against Pacifica on Andrew Mashburn. That's going to move the ball to the 47-yard line.
While they assess that, let's go down to a very patient Bobby on the sidelines.
Well, thanks, Paul. This third quarter has definitely been exciting here on the sidelines. I wanted to let you know I got a chance to speak with both coaches right before the second half started. And first off, Coach Wood from Aliso Niguel, when I saw their players, when they were up above the bowl, they were very excited, and they were standing up there for a good 5 minutes before they came down onto the field. And during that whole time, which is a long time when you're just standing there, let's go back up for this play.
Scott Nemeth's going to go down the sidelines. Touchdown, his third of the night.
I'll tell you what, that is a wonderful job of blocking in the middle of that offensive line by the Wolverines. You know, Pacifica puts 8 guys at the line of scrimmage, Paul. They're that 4-4 defense. There are the blocks. Now watch this. There's Ryan Herbon. And when Scott cuts back, there's only 3 guys left in the secondary. And he uses that little bit of a straight arm. And he has had 3 tremendous touchdown runs. And, you know, knowing Scott, he'd be the first guy to tell you it's because those guys up front are doing a great job.
Bobby, hang out right where you are. We'll go back to you right after this point after attempt. Point after attempt, it's up, and it is good.
Hey, how about that?
So they do make one.
An extra point.
So Aliso Niguel takes the lead. And, Bobby, if you're ready, we'll go back down. And you almost got trampled down the sidelines right there.
Yes, I believe was that Scott Nemeth running towards me. I wasn't sure if he was going to go out of bounds or not. So anyway, my whole point was that the Wolverines were very excited to come back down onto the field. And when I spoke with Coach Wood, I asked him what they talked about at halftime, and he said, well, the main thing is that they talked about playing Pacifica, not playing for the championship, not playing at Orange Coast College, but playing specifically Pacifica. I think their focus was getting a little confused there. And so for the second half, he said, basically, we need to raise our standard of play. Let's go back up to the booth.
Well, you know, every time that Pacifica has scored, Aliso Niguel has answered back. And they have answered back quickly.
What a game. Is this something?
It's awesome. You said a year ago you were with El Toro and Servite over at the Santa Ana Bowl with Pat Matthews doing the game. I was in Cabo.
I told you that
was a great game.
One of the best high school games I've ever seen, and this one is right on the tails of it. It's, you know, there's about 47 seconds left in this third quarter, and Paul, the way things are going right now, it could be whoever has it last.
Jeff Bird is back deep for the Pacific Mariners. Scott Nemeth will kick it off. Does this kid do enough for his football team or what? Left-footed kicker. It's going to go to Burt. Burt takes it on the 5. He takes a look. Up the belly, he's got some room, still spinning, up on his feet, across the 30, down to the 33-yard line. So with 40 seconds left to go in the third quarter, Pacifica has the ball, but Aliso Niguel, they have the lead. We talked about these two teams and how they got here. We told you about the Mariners, how they got here. Let me tell you how the Wolverines got here. They're 13-0, but in the playoffs in round 1, they beat Ganesha 28-6. The next week, they defeated Troy 40-7. Last week it was South Hills 35-21. So they have averaged about 34 points a game, and they're getting close to that tonight. They have 25. This kid, though, J.D. Stern, never say die at quarterback. Another quick release, and you know what, Bill? They have all but avoided the running game in the third quarter.
They have, and I think that one thing you may see Jim O'Connell do here too is maybe get away from the blitz a little bit and go more to a coverage type defense and put some more people on those wideouts. I really like what he's done with his blitz package, but right now when you isolate these receivers, Gilpin 6'4", Tessier is just a tremendous receiver. And then they've got your guy, number 28,
Huffmeyer,
running around inside, Casey Huffmeyer.
Last play of this. It's not even going to be the last play. They're not going to get it off. We'll be back with more of the game of the week. Crazy things happen. Watch this play. Not even going to talk about it. Just watch what happened.
Jeremy Miller knocks it loose. David Seal picks it up. Now watch this. This might be the play of the night. Number 88, Jeff Gilpin, strips the ball, and when it goes through the end zone, Paul, and out the back line, it goes to the other team. That's a touchback going the other way. Hey, we got to save that, because I don't think in 28 years of coaching I've seen a play that bizarre where the ball changed hands twice like that. But boy, you got to give Jeff Gilpin some credit. First Jeremy Miller on the sack, then David Seal, and then the strip. I mean, that's incredible football.
Hey, Bobby, can you better that?
Wow.
We'll go back to Bobby in a second.
Right, it is none.
1st and 10, 11:42 from the 20-yard line. 11:42 to go in the fourth quarter. Man in motion, Huffmeyer. J.D. Stern gets plenty of time to throw it this time, and it's almost picked off. All right, we'll go down and try it one more time. Bobby Higgins on the sidelines.
Thanks, Paul and Bill. I wanted to let you know I'd spoken with Coach Craven coming into halftime and asked him about what he talked about during the halftime in the locker room. And basically he said, well, defensively, we talked about staying together, keeping the team together. And offensively, if you've noticed, they're bringing out some new plays this half. And that's because they went over them and reworked them during the halftime. They were saving them to come out into this halftime. Also, the team was very quiet walking onto the field, different from Aliso Niguel, who was very loud and very excited. Also, one thing we talked about was special teams, because in the first half, Pacifica's special teams was hurting them, especially with the punts. And he said, you know, we need to snap better and we need to punt better. He said, we've been consistent all year long, but we're just having a little bit of trouble tonight. So that's something what they talked about when they came back for the third quarter. Back up to you guys.
And Bill, what plays have you seen change here in the third quarter? As Bobby talked about it, Coach Craven said he altered his plays.
Well, he did two things. Number one, I think he's going back more just to the short passing game in terms of the hitch routes to number 88, Jeff Gilpin. But they have run the corner route against this defense, the inside receiver running the corner route with great precision. And they've almost abandoned the running game completely.
25-21, Aliso Niguel with the lead. J.D. Stern, can you wear out a defense like Aliso Niguel? I mean, their defense is also what got them here.
I don't think so, Paul. I think they're in too good a condition. I think both defenses are in great condition. But one of the things that I think it's difficult to do, and here's the hitch pass again to Gilpin, and watch how quickly Nemeth is there to make the tackle. Teams are very reluctant to throw 7 or 8 or 9 of those in a drive. Okay, now, I mentioned before, I don't like this punt formation if I'm Pacifica. And I think somewhere down the road it might get you.
Bill, 4th and 1. Let's see if they switch anything up here with 4th down and 1, 10 minutes to go in the game. Pacifica down by 4. Great snap and a good kick.
Now you got to be careful and not try and catch this. That's right. The ball's out of bounds on the 46-yard line. And a nice job by Tessie. You know, I keep harping on this, but I'm sure Pacifica is saying, we're going to run this spread punt for 2 reasons. Number one, we can cover the field. And number 2, we have a great athlete as our punter, where we just take the snap and kick it. And so far, they're doing a pretty good job.
1st and 10 now at the 45-yard line. Going the other way, Aliso Niguel coming onto the field. Player of the game so far for Aliso Niguel, Scott Nemeth. Andrew Mashburn sets up the bottom of your screen. Nemeth in the slot formation.
Okay, single coverage on both outside guys.
They're going to pass.
Bootleg pass.
Nice defensive
Oh, what
play.
a catch. No, he's going to say it bounced. Okay. But, you know, Paul, that up the field rush by number 45, and that is Wes Choate. Really, now watch this. Here's the bootleg, but watch how quick Wes has to pull up, because here comes Choate. Now look at this effort by Corey Chandler.
Tipped at the line there by Brian Manley for Pacifica. This brings up a 2nd and 10.
Hey, is this fun or what?
It's a great game. I'm just looking down in the field, watching these guys get all muddy and dirty, and they must be having the time of their lives.
Well, they've got about 9.5 more minutes to enjoy this.
And Bill, they're playing it because they like it, not because they're getting paid. 2nd and 10. Hefty stays upright across the 50 down to the 49.
Now that's a little bit of a different play. We haven't seen John Hefty on that option play before, but I still think somewhere in this drive you're going to see a bomb, a deep pass, because Andrew Mashburn on one side is single covered, Johnny Hefty is single covered on the other side, and Wes Thomas has a good arm. This is a big play. 3rd down and 7, or we'll call it 3rd and 6.
I formation, Wes Thomas, the junior quarterback. They hand it off to Nemeth.
Oh, this guy's amazing, isn't he? Great blocking up front, and he gets the 1st down.
It's really hard to tackle him. I think that anybody that has touched him all year long, that has tried to tackle this young man, knows that, you know, that probably the best thing that happened to him is for him to go to running back, because it has allowed his offense, Joe Wood's offense, to really lighten up and spread out.
I agree, but look at that blocking up front. Oh, you got to be proud of that offensive line.
Scott Nemeth going off the field with over 150 yards tonight in TD runs. 9:15 to go in the game, 25-21. Mashburn goes in motion.
All right, they've got him single covered. Play action. Yep.
Huge loss.
I'll tell you what, that young man has always, I'll tell you, we talked about him a second ago, Choate again. When he comes off the corner, he is just very difficult to block. And that's the one thing you have to avoid in this situation, is a sack. And now Wes has no chance there, but if he thinks it's close, you might throw it away. But Choate made a great play, and you now have, we'll call it 2nd and about 22 or 23 yards. Does that be about right? And 8:34 and counting. That's the other thing, is the clock is running. Now they're under defense up there. This is a trips formation. They don't have enough guys. There's the twist route. Wide open. Just a little overthrown to number 21. And he's chasing that down the field, and that is Ryan Devine.
He's a senior at 6 foot, 180 pounds. And want to thank the Times of Orange County for sponsoring the replay machine every Tuesday and Saturday in the Los Angeles Times, a special prep edition. All the local statistics of the teams and some great features on the athletes and the coaches, not only in high school, but also on the JC level. The Times of Orange County every Tuesday and Saturday, a special prep edition. This one will be written up in that thing. Here we go. Look at it. Plenty of room. He's got to go 22 yards. He won't make it.
That's a great call, though. Quarterback draw on 3rd and 22. And now, with 7 minutes and 58 seconds and counting, the Wolverines are going to punt. And this next drive might be the season for Pacifica.
Set it up really nice, Bill. He'll be back next year. Wes Thomas, only a junior, directing traffic.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Good tackle made by number 81. A high snap. And they're going to have to run this thing. Broken play. Up on his feet. He's got to get a 1st down. He does.
Corey Chandler with the play of the year if you're Aliso Niguel. That's not a fake punt. That snap was high, and he thought he was going to have the ball blocked, and he ran for a 1st down. That's just a phenomenal effort by Corey Chandler.
Have we seen some great plays in this game?
This is unbelievable.
This is really spectacular.
I mean, that ball's going to be blocked, and that's the move right there. He should have been stopped way back there. My goodness, what a great play by Corey.
Just gets the 1st down.
When he's old and gray, he can pull this tape out and look at that about 100 times.
From the 25-yard line, 7:27, very quiet on the near sidelines with us on Pacifica. On the far sidelines is Aliso Niguel. They're all standing on the other side.
Right now, the official doing his job, and that is clearing the sideline. The players have to stay back in back of that little 9-foot restraining stripe. You can't see it anymore. It's normally painted white around the field. And boy, the crowd, I think the entire stadium, or most of them, on their feet watching this drive.
Boy, Aliso Niguel has given us some games this year. That game with El Toro, this game with Laguna Hills. What a great season.
I think you might see him just try and pound it on the ground here a little bit.
I expect Scott Nemeth.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
gonna pass it.
Yeah, as soon as I say pound it on the ground,
Singleton.
they're not going to call anything.
And you know what? That's right, Bill, because they haven't been calling it all night.
You know, I see this official sign. When the official waves his hand over his
Catch
head,
the ball.
it's an uncatchable ball, so there is no pass interference. But
You can watch for yourself here.
you know, there's a push by number 81. There's a little out and up move, and they're both going for position. That's not pass interference. No,
And
that's
Bill, you
just,
know what? It's been that way on both sides
Sure
of the ball.
it is.
It's been very
These
even.
officials have done an outstanding job tonight.
You can tell who the officials are. They're nice and clean out there.
All right, they're in trips left. Now, Pacifica does not have that defense well enough over there. They're going to run a draw.
Nemeth, and he's going to be pounded on. Still up on his feet, though. Boy, this kid doesn't give up.
Number 54 in there making the tackle that time for Pacifica. That's Ramaz Amari. We've called his name quite often tonight. But you know, while all this is going on, Paul, the clock is moving.
The clock is moving.
Oh, nice play by number 54, Ramaz Amari.
4-point lead. Nemeth trying to get out of traffic. Hey, one thing he did is he kept the clock moving just like you just said.
You know, if you get down here close, and you've got David Waltzman who could kick a field goal and give you a 7-point lead.
3rd and 17, huge play coming up.
Same formation. I think Pacifica is under defense to the top of the screen. That's where they're going on the sprint out.
They've got a man that's there. Down there.
There's Andrew Mashburn.
Touchdown. Wide open flag on the play.
Now that may be for a late hit on the quarterback, because that is a perfect throw and a great route by Andrew Mashburn. And the official is going to call personal foul Pacifica for a late hit on the quarterback, and that's going to stand. And I'll tell you what, Paul, with 6 minutes and 8 seconds left, that might be the CIF championship winner right there. 31-21, a 10-point lead. And what you do here is you just kick the field goal and go for 11, which is what they're going to, or kick the extra point rather. And they're going to go for the extra point. I tell you what, that was a great throw by Wes Thomas. Great protection by the offensive line, and I'm sure that's something that Andrew Mashburn will never forget. Wide open on the post route.
The kick is up, and it is good. 32-21. Aliso Niguel has 6 minutes and 8 seconds to burn off the clock, and they'll win their first ever CIF championship. Andrew Mashburn might have sealed this game with that touchdown, 32-yard pass from Wes Thomas. More on Andrew in just a second. J.D. Stern is not going to give up.
Pump and go. Boy, you're not kidding. He's not giving up. He has played a great football game tonight.
At the conclusion of tonight's game, Bill and I will be selecting the Ballpark Pizza Team Athletes of the Week and also the Attitude in Motion Award. And Bill, a special story about a young man. We mentioned it 2 years ago, but number 85, I'll say it one more time, number 85, Andrew Mashburn of Aliso Niguel. Just for him to be out here playing football and showing the courage that he has had over the last couple of years is something special. Bill, you allude to that.
It is. Andrew lost his dad a few years ago. Just a wonderful man. And Andrew and his mom and all the members of that family, I'm certain, very proud of this young man. He is a very good student, a very good football player, and just a terrific young guy. But
what a way to cap a high school career.
I'll say it is. If you look at this football game, parents, friends, families of both of these football teams have been treated to just an absolutely phenomenal football game.
On both sides of the ball. There was no quitting in anybody.
And you know, I can say this because, you know, being in the profession, when you go through this stuff, these two coaching staffs have done a truly outstanding job preparing these guys. Look how polished these teams are.
And Bill, this thing's not over yet.
No, it isn't.
5:56.
That's right.
2 touchdowns, and Pacifica wins this contest. They've thrown twice. They're going to throw again.
There's the post route.
Intended down the middle for
nice
number
play
88.
By Portillo.
That is Gilpin once again, the wide receiver. Now, Bill, and you're looking at a play now. Well, you've got a long ways to go for a first, and they're going to bring their punting unit back on.
Look at this throw. It's a nice setup, a nice delivery. It's a little tall. Portillo comes in with the tip, and that's scary sometimes too. But
that's almost better than throwing it short, because
that's right. A lot of Wolverines back there.
Also throw it up in the air where you got a chance to get up and grab it when you're covered that tightly. Let's watch this snap. That's a good snap. They crack the punter, but they don't get the call. Ball's on the ground on the 50-yard line.
You know what that official did back there, I thought was good. And I see Tessier coming out the field, and he's a little upset, but I think that part of that may be just cramping up a little too. That the guys coming in to block that kick, the one that got closest was blocked into him. And anytime a player's blocked into the kicker, then it's not going to be a penalty.
And you know what, Tessier just came off the field, and the first thing he's trying to do is get some water in his body, and he runs over. He's already forgotten about that play, and he's already trying to get himself back in order so he can get out there on offense in the next series. 32-21. Aliso Niguel has the lead with 5:39 to go. I bet you they're going to run it here. They were going to run it. It was going to go to Trent Purley. It'd be called offsides by Aliso Niguel. You know, in warm-ups, I had an opportunity to go out and talk to Trent Purley. Sat down and while he was stretching, and I asked him, how you doing? You know, I'm really glad to see you, that you're playing football again. You were ill in the first part of the year, and I said, you guys pretty excited? And he goes, yeah. And I asked him about being nervous. He goes, you know, it's funny, I'm not nervous at all. I'm just excited about this game. And I didn't see a whole lot of nervousness down there. The one person that I did see that was nervous, really, out of everybody, I talked to every one of the coaches for Aliso Niguel, but the one guy that was nervous was Joe Wood. Definitely, he was a little fired up.
Yeah, I know.
And he had good reason to be nervous.
There goes Nemeth again.
Nemeth has a lot of room. He's still up on his feet. Hard to bring this guy down. Stops his motion and goes out of bounds. And with that in mind, we'll go down to Bobby.
Well, Paul and Bill, it appears that at this point, it's going to come down to what's inside, what you've got, to what it takes. Earlier, prior to the game, it was something that Coach Wood had told me. He said, you know, if we just play this game, play it in our head and play it in our hearts, we'll come out fine. That sentiment was echoed just moments ago as well on the Pacifica sidelines with that last touchdown from the Wolverines. The players were saying to each other, hey, right from the heart, never let down, let's keep going. Back up to you guys.
Well, it's tough when you got a player like Scott Nemeth that's your opposition, because this guy is taking these kids to a different level. Scott Nemeth, definitely the player of the game in this one. He's the most valuable player in all of the Pacific Coast League. And Bill, do you think that he'll be playing Division I football next year?
There's no question in my mind. I think the guy's terrific. He's smart. He's sturdy. He's strong. And he's got a lot of character. And I'll tell you what, you could say that for both of these football teams. Character is just all over this field. When you look at no cheap shots, no talking, they just play the game. And I'll tell you what, you give me this over a pro game any day.
That's right. These guys have been doing a wonderful job. You don't see all that dancing and hopping around like a bunch of wild men out there. These guys come to play. 32-21.
Trent Purley, he's still moving.
Something about that, Bill, what you just said, and what's absent from this is when professional player makes a tackle, he's got to get up and let everybody know about it, you know, instead of like we talked about going back to the huddle. And that's what's so refreshing about covering high school sports.
That's right.
And college sports, especially on the JC level. You see a little bit of it on the Division I level, but I think the officials do a pretty good job of curtailing that. But if you want to see great football, if you want to see great sports, just come down to go down to your local high school field and check it out. 3rd and 3, 4 minutes to go. Purley up the belly of Pacifica. Now their defense has been stout all year long, taking nothing away from Pacifica. They're playing an outstanding team tonight with Aliso Niguel. Bill, I don't think they were outmatched tonight in any shape or form.
Not at all. This was a wonderful game in terms of both sides being equally talented. The coaching staff's equally matched. You know, if you had to give an edge somewhere in this game, because both defenses played well, both quarterbacks played well, I would say you have to give the edge to the Aliso Niguel offensive line. I think those are the guys that have made the difference in this football game, and Scott Nemeth. It's just been a great night for those guys.
First and 10 from the 14, 3.5 to go. Trent Purley. And you know what they're trying to do? I wouldn't doubt it if they're trying to get Trent Purley a touchdown.
Well, I think that would only be fitting for the things that he's gone through in his young life. But I think at this point, as that clock begins to grind, there are a couple of things that come to my mind. Number one, you have to salute Pacifica for their great effort. This is a wild card team. They got into the playoffs as the 16th seed.
Yep.
And so you got to give them tons of credit. But for a football team in its 4th year of existence to win a CIF championship is just the highest compliment you can pay a group of athletes and coaches.
Wes Thomas with the keeper. And one day you might see Aliso Niguel move up in the league, move up in divisions, pardon me.
That's not going to take very long
No.
either. Corey Chandler was called for a personal foul there at the end of a play. And there's Joe out on the field. And this is Wes on that quarterback sneak, and it's a pretty good play. Now, what you don't see at the end of the play is Corey Chandler was locked up with a defender, and they call him for a personal foul. Wasn't anything malicious. It just that he kind of blocked the guy for a long time. So that ball is going to be moved back now. The official marking off the foul. 2 minutes and 51 seconds left in this game. And the ball will rest on the 21-yard line. It'll be second down now, and we'll call it about close to 17 yards. And you know, Paul, another guy that I told you I just love watching him play. Ryan Herbon, this center, snaps the ball, blocks. When the play's over, he sprints back to set up the huddle again. And I just love that. Right up the middle, there goes Nemeth again.
2.5 minutes to go in this game, and it's a 11-point contest right now with Aliso Niguel with the edge, the big edge. And
you know, something you mentioned about Aliso Niguel moving up into another division and stuff. What you have to realize is this is a senior-dominated football team. And these guys have been together for a long time.
Well, most of them, Bill, would have been playing at Capital Valley or Dana Hills
Sure.
Division I football. Now, you spread these guys out over to Capital Valley and Dana Hills, and you've got a pretty good team on both sides of the county, or both sides of the freeway with Capistrano Valley and Dana Hills. So this is Division I caliber football with these guys.
there's no
they
question.
could step up and play
Sure
it.
it is. Yeah.
I mean, they would be playing it if the school was never built.
I think when you get into the CIF playoffs, especially when you get into the finals, there's not a huge difference between Division I and you know, this is Division VIII, whatever that means, geographically, attendance-wise, whatever it is. These are two tremendous high school football teams. We certainly want to salute Mater Dei. Tomorrow night, Santa Margarita, they're both playing for CIF championships. So it could be Newport Harbor could be a great year for the county.
Thomas with the pitch. John Hefty, great tackle made out there on the flat. Credit number 32 coming up making a great play. Scott Yost, and also good crowd on hand, still sticking in here for Pacifica out of the Garden Grove area. I want to thank all of you for watching on the Times Warner Cable in Garden Grove, and also Cox Communications with Athletes in Motion here on Channel 3. Time Warner, something we've been doing all year long, and we're able to show it on your cable station. We appreciate
Paul,
that.
Again, I want to thank you for allowing me to do this with you all year. You and Bobby, I think we're all thrilled for you two finally becoming man and wife. And thanks to everybody in the truck, the people that do all the stuff that make this possible, all the camera people, the technical support and stuff. This is really fun. And,
Yep.
I love it. You know, I'm looking over there with my binoculars on the sideline for that big Gatorade jug, because I think Uncle Joe's going to get wet pretty soon here.
Well, the Water Boys are running out to meet their team, and actually now the Water Boys run right back off the field.
Hey, in our bowl game, I heard them sneaking up on me.
Did you?
And as the gun went off, I sprinted toward the other sideline, and they missed me. First time in a while. That was kind of fun.
First and 10, 2:17. Pacifica has just a couple minutes left to do something with the football. Was that caught? That was a
Nope.
great, no, was it caught?
Yeah, just overthrown.
Okay.
Just a little overthrown out of bounds.
Stop the clock.
You know, it's almost impossible for us to tell. I can see Scott Nemeth, I can see John Hefty, but you can't tell much because the numbers are so muddy.
And Aliso Niguel, they brought up the entire football team from the lower level so they could experience what a CIF final is. And they just hope that they can one day be out there playing on the football field, but to be a part of it any which way is a lot of fun. I want to thank Steve Bird at Aliso Niguel once again for doing a great job all season long with us on the Game of the Week. Nobody better than him at what he does, supplying all the media information. There's Tessier. He thinks about pitching it. This kid is a heads-up, smart football player. I like him.
And he's got a cramp again. This guy's just, he has played as hard as he can play all night long. And he just, look at that. He's going to line up no matter what. They're going to get him off the field. That guy's given everything he's got all night long.
Second down and 10, 2 minutes left to go in the game. Standing ovation on the near side of the field with the people from Garden Grove. J.D. Stern trying to get a hand on it. The ball is loose, and Aliso Niguel might have got this.
There he is. Guy's standing up with the football. I'm looking at
John Hefty.
No, it's Wyatt Hayden.
Wyatt Hayden?
Wyatt Hayden has the
Sorry, I
ball.
couldn't see
See the officials looking at this big pile on the ground, and Wyatt's standing up with the ball. So is this what you're looking for? Look at him.
That's a shame for J.D. Stern to go out like that. Hopefully he'll get an opportunity to throw another football before he goes out. There was a high snap. He just tried to get a handle on it, and watch, they'll come in there. He almost had it, and then it got squeezed out. Wyatt Hayden comes up with it. Take a knee here, and with 1:37 to go.
Well, start looking for that bucket of water.
.129 to go in the game, 32-21 timeout on the field.
Great.
33-yard line, actually about the 35-yard line. Well, Bill, this is the first time that Claudia has stood next to you all night long at a football game. Normally she can't go down to the sidelines, but Bill's wife has been up here the entire time, and she's had a lot of fun. Their daughter Shannon is a cheerleader down on the field, and there's Steve Burt. That's a good shot of Steve Burt and Joe Wood. Steve Burt is facing you.
There's two guys that have worked awfully hard to make this dream come true.
A lot of support over at that new high school, and you got two different schools here, Bill, entirely. One school that has a long-standing tradition with Pacifica, and another school that's trying to create a tradition. I think it's kind of exciting to watch these two teams come together.
Now, that you got to watch for right there. There's no reason that's Ryan Herbon coming off. They're still fired up. He's ready for wrestling season right now.
Well, this time next week, he'll be taking someone down somewhere. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go in the game, and Aliso Niguel will win their first ever CIF title in the sport of football. Joe Wood, the head coach. Bill Craven, the head coach at Pacifica, has nothing to be ashamed about. His team was excellent throughout the second half of the year. They were banged up earlier in the year. They lost 3 games by less than 9 points total. They'll finish 10-4. The Wolverines will finish at 14-0.
Isn't that something?
That is amazing.
There it is. I see the bucket of water. I'll tell you what.
Well, we'll just let the pictures tell the story.
At this point in time, Paul, that water doesn't feel like anything.
32-21, that's the final score. We'll watch the last waning moments of this one tick off and just enjoy it. The Aliso Niguel Wolverines are the 1996 CIF champions in Division VIII football. Joe Wood, the head coach, the coach of the year in that league. Fans coming onto the field, and the time has gone off the clock. Standing ovation, and whoever created this great game of football, looking down upon us, happen to be real happy at this time. Both these schools played a great effort. When Bill and I come back, and Bobby and I come back, when we all come back here on Channel 3, we'll have the Athletes of the Week, the Attitude in Motion Award, and we'll see if Bobby can get an interview with a delighted Aliso Niguel player. I tell you what, it was a terribly difficult decision to make tonight. But the Ballpark Pizza Team Athletes of the Week, J.D. Stern from Pacifica and Scott Nemeth, that wasn't too tough. The other side of the ball, though, with the Attitude in Motion Award, Casey Huffmeyer, the young man I picked out early in the game, and Nick Girasimu. You could have given this award out to any one of the players tonight. The CIF award given out right now to Aliso Niguel. Bobby is standing by with two very fine players. You have one player that is the athlete of the game, and you've got one player that's really a friend of the athlete of the game, the support all the way around. Bobby, who do you have?
Well, first off, I think I have one of the most dirtiest players on the field here tonight, number 2, Scott Nemeth. Scott, is that reflective of how hard you played tonight?
This was my last game with my family. This is the last game my senior year. I didn't want to let anything go. I didn't want to leave anything out here. I wanted to play my hardest, and I guess being dirty is a reflection of that on this muddy field.
Well, you had 3 touchdowns tonight. Tell me about that.
They call themselves the Fat. They're our O linemen, and they just, you know, they're opening holes like crazy. Nick Girasimu's blocking, and all I got to do is run, so it's pretty easy when you got those guys in front of you.
At what point was it during the game, during the second half, that you feel you guys took over, you knew that this was it for you guys?
We just finally got started, got stuff rolling. We started running the offense we planned on doing, and when that stuff started working, we got a little bit of momentum. Defense stepped it up, held them, and then, you know, we were able to drive the ball when it mattered and keep our offense on the field, keep theirs off, and like I said, defense held them.
Well, and one last thing, I don't know if you were able to see it on the cameras, but down where you guys were at, it was very emotional. Everybody was crying, everybody was hugging. Tell me your feelings right after when you won the championship.
This is the greatest feeling of my life. I've desired all my life to be a champion. And you know, with the supporting cast out there on the team, you know, we did it. I love it. I'm very thankful. I thank God and all He's given me. And you know, I'm gonna live this up right now.
Well, one last thing. You have a friend with you, number 81, Tyler Verdick, and better known as Skinny on the team.
Skinny.
Tell me about Tyler.
This is the dog's first year coming out. He's never lost a varsity football game in his life. And I don't know, he's the man. He's the man.
Tyler, any last thoughts about this championship game tonight?
Yeah, I'm glad we won.
All right. Well, congratulations to the Wolverines. Thank you for staying with me, guys. All right, let's go back up to the booth. It's definitely been an exciting game here on the sidelines. Back to Paul Bell.
Sorry about that, the microphone problem down there. We did hear Bobby, and I know it wasn't as audible as we always like it, but again, we did hear Scott Nemeth talk about exactly what Bill said he would talk about, the offensive line.
Yeah, you know, this is a guy who gives credit to everybody, and I think his performance tonight speaks for itself. But the guys in the trenches, they don't always get the recognition that they're due, but I think tonight that offensive line was the biggest reason for this victory. But you've got to go deeper than that. You've got to go to the coaching staff, the administration, Steve Burt we talked about. But I'm so happy for Joe Wood and for all those guys, for Jimmy O'Connell, for Kurt, for Mike Middlebrook, the whole group. It's just a tremendous victory for the community. And as they would tell you, too, you must give credit to Pacifica, Bill Craven and his group, because they played a great football game.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It's my 11th year covering high school football in the South Orange County year, and Bill in the South Orange County area, and every year it gets bigger and better, and I want to thank you for coming out. You thank me. Now it's our time to thank Bill Cunity for doing such a great job on the game of the week all season long. I want to thank our crew for also a wonderful job, the directors that we've had all year long, with Tina Horsepool, who started it off, Bill Fennell, Mike Connolly, the great cameramen. You can't say enough about what these people do on Channel 3. For Bill Cunardy, for my wife Bobby Higgins, for our director tonight Mike Connolly, all the staff here on Channel 3, I'm Paul Higgins. Thanks for watching. This has been the conclusion of the 1996 high school football season. The Aliso Niguel Wolverines, the Division VIII CIF champs.
Besser Brothers Garage.